welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. It would have been awful if I messed that up for the 400th time. My name's Adam Cook, I'm your host. It is episode 400. You can see us on video, you can hear us in your ears right now, and I'm joined for this very special occasion by Mr. Adam Carroll.
Yes, I'm delighted to be here, Adam Cook and everyone else.
Everyone else, which includes Mick Fraser.
Hello.
You can't, Mick, don't just wave, it's not just audio. It's not,
Oh, of course.
Video. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, I
From my castle in... I can't do a posh accent.
I'd kind of like to hear it. I reckon a man who could do a posh accent.
You just did us.
Wow.
I can,
Right in there. Wow. Yeah. Chris Hyde.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Chris can do a posh accent. Go
Offended.
on,
Chris. I'm just posh.
Give
Actually, this is me. This is posh. Hello.
You know what? I've always thought your voice was sort of, because you and Mick aren't far away from one another, and I've always thought you had a similar accent. But having you both here, you haven't. Like, you're definitely posh, and Mick is definitely common as much.
Yeah. Mick is common. Yeah. He's not like
knowing you won't mind it. We also have 5 people this week. Mick, and I'm going to say his right name, Mick Doherty.
Doherty.
Did I give it enough? Yeah.
Oh, if there was a C in it, then that would have been fine, but there's no. Doherty.
Oh.
It's Doherty.
See, now this doesn't need to descend into like how to pronounce Scottish things, but I feel like what you said is what I said.
Oh, you said Doherty.
You said Doherty.
It's hot.
No, see, Doherty.
See, Doherty.
Doherty.
This isn't a bit.
It sounds the same to me.
I genuinely believe what I'm saying is the same thing.
It is not. It's totally different. You've added in a C.
My accent's Scottish, but it's my surname's Scottish, but it's easy to say.
Your surname's Scottish?
Fraser? Why?
This episode. I'm not having any of this. This is episode 400. Episode 400. Now, before we're not going to spend like a long time navel gazing, but there are some little things I just wanted to bring to the fore. The very first episode of the God is a Geek podcast was July the 23rd, 2009. Over 10 years ago. That's some longevity right there, okay? The first person on this podcast right now that appeared on the podcast then was myself. The first episode I can remember being on, or certainly find proof I was on, is the 15th episode in 2010. Now, there's a bit of a gap between episode 1 and sort of 15 there, but that was July 17th, 2010. So technically, I don't think I hosted that, but as of that, that's almost 10 years that episode 400 is out. But also, this isn't actually episode 400. Technically, the number is 400. We have done so much, like the Game of the Year podcasts don't get counted, and there was like 5 of them last year. That the when did we do the quiz? Was that last year or the year before? Yep,
It was the year before, was it not?
I don't remember. Around about February 14th, 2011 was when we started becoming more regular, and I believe that's when I was hosting around about then. So it's 10 years to get to sort of episode 400, which is...
And how do you feel about it, Adam Cook, considering you were the first person there? 10 years. That's a milestone for you.
It is. It's also, technically, this year was my 10th year at God is a Geek. I joined in March 10 years ago. So it is a lot of milestones.
Cheers.
Weird.
We should have got him some flowers, lads. We missed that one.
Yeah.
Back in March.
It's a website I love dearly. It is a podcast I must very much love dearly because I'm still fucking here doing it 10 years later. We have some questions about the podcast which we will get to sort of later on. But we have got such a lot to get through this week, and that sounds like we're rushing it. We're not, because now we can talk about The Last of Us Part 2. We can talk about Desperados 3. We're definitely going to talk about Astroneer, Project Warlock, and of course Sony just revealed this little... no one's really heard of it. A little bit of technology called the PlayStation... I think was it the 5th one? Don't know if it will stick, but they released... I think we should start with that.
Let's.
Because I was expecting a half an hour show tops.
Mm-hmm.
Not an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes, right? Let's go to you, Ad, first. Before we get into what they revealed, and we'll have a more in-depth look, anything that sort of stuck out to you, like? Your general feelings, I suppose.
So, quick thoughts on it. I thought the show was definitely, it was great. It delivered a lot of stuff that I'm very excited for. Some things I did say I was hoping for maybe a Silent Hill situation. Not a big deal. I just thought maybe throwing out those kind of wild cards, like maybe Rocksteady might announce something finally. Oh, yeah. It'll all come. I know it will eventually. I think the biggest surprise, well, not the biggest surprise, but I was surprised by Resi being announced here, because I knew that it was on the way. I just didn't think it was going to be shown then.
Do you think, maybe this is just me, it certainly seemed like the game is called Resident Evil Village.
Village, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to keep that name?
I think so.
Not call it 8, or are they trying to get away from? Because there is a point
8
where numbers
might be thrown in there somewhere. Like
well, no,
it
is. It's VII.
Okay.
It's VI and then part of the L.
Is it not called Village and Resident Evil is the subtitle?
That's what I'm saying.
Because that's how it's presented. It's called Village, which isn't too bad, I guess, as a horror.
There's no way
because
they
it
dropped
definitely
the name
says
Resident Evil.
Well, no, but it definitely says Village and then Resident Evil underneath. It wasn't the other way around.
So it's kind of like Village.
Yeah, people call it Resident Evil Village, but if you look on the reveal, it shows you.
I've got the list of. I mean, we can get into this if you want now. Like, so Sony sent through, like, obviously the press release for the summation, and so PS5 games from third-party publishers is just called Resident Evil Village. I must admit, I'm a big fan of people dropping the colon. I'm really liking that. Like, I was unsure, like with The Last of Us, if it was colon part 2, and it's not. That people are dropping the colon, which I'm appreciating.
Yeah,
they just have colons for no fucking reason. Like, remnant from the ashes. Why has that got a colon?
Yeah,
sorry, that's a bugbear. Carry on. I quietly hate colons in the background.
I was like, all the rumors that were kind of leading up to it are pretty much true. True. I'm excited. It looked great. Chris was in it. I was excited.
Chris looked
jacked. He looked jacked,
weird, didn't he? Yeah.
Did you see someone who said? I saw a meme earlier that said Chris Redfield's been through a lot, and it had like the first guy, and then like this arc of pictures to what he looks like now, and he's never looked the same twice, like ever.
Yeah. So this, like, we won't spend too long. Resi, I was just excited to see that. I thought Ratchet and Clank.
Sorry, Adam. I don't want to interrupt your thoughts. This is very much. I don't like to do this. That is just video things. I'm absolutely certain that Mick has drunk 3 completely different beverages since it started. Like, I've seen him drinking.
I've got that's Lil.
Okay. So
that's
one
tea.
Glass. There's a cup of tea.
Oh,
Jesus.
I thought it was like a smoothie or something.
I'm not paying attention, and they're both there. I'm going to be really ill in a minute because I just keep picking up whichever one I reach for.
I would never, like, because this is an audio podcast. The video is very much an extra thing. But I couldn't ignore that. Sorry, Adam, carry on.
No, good. I thought Ratchet and Clank looked great. I'm well up for that. And then for me, because I know I'm not going to go through everything, we'll all have our piece on it.
There's plenty of games, yeah.
Yeah, Horizon, I've been waiting for it. We kind of had a strong feeling it was going to happen very soon. It looked unreal. It just looked. It's like there was a moment where she was swimming underwater, Aloy, and
I want to focus on that.
Yeah,
because I've seen. I'm not on social media, as you know, but I have seen bits and pieces of people saying, "Oh, I've not seen anything yet that couldn't be done on the current console." You have. You have. Maybe you were looking on your phone was low res, but like that was something. Actually, you mentioned Ratchet and Clank. Like, I don't know if you've seen it. There's a picture doing the rounds where people are saying, like, by the way, this is not someone's painting. This is a screenshot from like that. I'm sorry, that Ratchet. They always look good. Ratchet and Clank, okay, but that looked.
It looked amazing. It looked really smooth. Like this is the thing. Like, when I was watching the stream of it, like I was watching it through Twitch, so I'm obviously not getting the. I'm getting the as best quality as I can. I actually do want to go back and see some of the kind of more 4K quality videos of the trailers. Like Ratchet and Clank looked like it would. It just looks so smooth. It looks like it's bursting with color. It looks really fun. Those games are just fun anyway. Very surprised by. I'm not very surprised, but I'm a bit like, is the new Spidey game a full game, or is it
I think they've confirmed it now.
Have they confirmed it?
It's more like a DLC than anything else.
Yeah, at the time it was like, oh, it's a brand new game and it's out for Christmas. I was like, get in. But now it's like, no, it's apparently it's a remaster and it's like significant additional content. So
okay, cool.
That Miles bit is essentially it's a new same game but extra content on the top.
Okay,
and a lot's been sort of made of people saying, oh, well, that's not what I thought it was. But if your save carries over, I know it doesn't seem like a huge.
I feel
deal.
I feel like it's fine if it does. If it doesn't, I think there's going to be a few people going, I don't know if I'll bother doing all of that again to get that. But
depends how significant it is.
Yeah.
Like if we're talking like an 8-hour campaign, because I assumed initially that it was like, because they do this, they did it with Infamous, like Second Son and Last Light. I can't remember which one was which now. Which was the actual Second Son was the
Last
main
Light
game,
was a
wasn't it?
DLC, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was it was a separate.
First Light.
First
Well,
Light.
it was
First Light,
standalone, but yeah, it was
Yeah,
First
but it
Light.
was, and that was, I'm quite, because Dishonored did this as well, like with the what was it called? The last one they did, which is very clearly like not a
The
full
Outsider
Dishonored
one.
game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Death of the
Like,
Outsider, yeah.
And Wolfenstein, in fact, Wolfenstein did the same. I'm fine with them making these smaller games while they're making like Wolfenstein 3 or Dishonored 3. Well, assuming, I don't know if
And
they are.
look, let's all jump in, because I think a lot of us were maybe impressed by that new game.
Deathloop.
Yes, Deathloop. Like,
I thought that looked really good. I see a lot of
it
people
looked
have been knocking
really-
that. I thought it looked really, really cool.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? People are knocking that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
Fucking hell,
people on
people-
Twitter give it.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
it's
but that's
people hate good stuff. You know, it's.
Yeah, no, that's true.
yeah,
I thought that looked really good.
Yeah.
Style. What's
Yeah, the
You
style.
don't see games like that now.
No.
Like,
I love the
absolutely-
concept as well. The little sort of banter between the
Oh,
two
yeah.
characters through the trailer. I thought it was brilliant. I thought I
Yeah.
can't wait to see more of that.
Do you know what was quite a troll of a moment though? It was the only real troll moment of the whole like thing, was opening up with the Rockstar logo.
Oh,
I thought that was. I think everyone there and then just went,
Wait.
"What? Like, what's this?" And then there was all this confusion, and then I was kind of like, I didn't know what I was actually getting, because I was like, okay, this is Grand Theft Auto 5, but I haven't gone deep into like the online side of it. I only know Grand Theft Auto 5 as the base game that exists, right? I don't know much more outside of that. So what they were showing in this, I kind of was like, is this GTA going into Saints Row or something? Like, it was just like really like comedic in ways and stuff, but maybe that's just the way it is online.
Online's mental. Like, there is
I have
so
to say,
much,
right,
you know.
like, I was a bit like, okay, look, GTA 5, all right, okay, you're coming along, that's fine. But this is, you kind of like, you're nearly like Skyrim now, we're just coming out now on everything again. Which is like, oh look, I bought Skyrim every
But you
console
see-
anyway, and I'll probably buy GTA 5 on the PS5 as well, I don't know, but like...
But see, I saw it as, and this might be because, like I say, realising today I've been in the industry for 10 years, I saw it more as a business thing. Like, you have Rockstar on your thing, Xbox didn't. It's whether or not it's something you're excited about, and also it depends on. I kind of appreciate the fact that they showed that, and then went, look, that's that.
Yeah.
This is here because money, but fucking PS5 now, and they like. I don't want to jump ahead, but like, I'm always the guy that comes in and is like, yeah, but this, that, and the other. I was fucking floored. Like, to me,
Yeah, I was. I
that
really
was
was.
a
That stuff.
flawless execution of, we know, like I said, I was expecting 20-30 minutes. That was an execution of, we know you want it all. You don't know anything. We've told you the hard drive will do this, and we've done that, the GDC tech thing that no one really was supposed to see, but people saw, because whatever, it's, you know, pandemic, we're going to show it. For me, what they did was literally go, it's the equivalent of in football scoring a goal and going, fucking have it, right up here. Because it was like, I've got the list, there's, I think there's 26 games, roughly, 25 or 26 games. You got new Gran Turismo, Horizon, you got, I'm looking at the list, Marvel Spider-Man, right, not this proper sequel. You know, Hitman, but I'm looking at the exclusive stuff, right? So here's the list of
Demon
exclusive
Souls.
stuff.
That was. I nearly
that's what I'm
cried
getting
at
to.
Demon Souls. I really did.
In alphabetical order, then, the exclusives now announced, and I want you to bear in mind that this is not. So there's no God of War, which we know is going to get a sequel. Yeah. So none of that. You've got Astro's Playroom. Now that's a small game to some, but that's one of the best VR games released. Full stop. In fact, if it weren't for Half-Life Alyx, I would say it's the best VR game.
Beat
and
Saber.
Yeah, but in terms of that, so the thing that Sony don't have, and I'd say Microsoft don't either. Everyone chases Nintendo when it comes to cutesiness, right? Everyone wants that Mario 64 moment where they make, and Xbox have tried it with Super Lucky's Tale, and I mean, because you reviewed that on Switch, but there's weirdness around that, like that's like a different version of the game rebuilt for Switch.
Yeah,
they've tried that. Sony realised with this Astro stuff, like, hang on, everyone loved this, and they're making a full game. So I'm very excited for that. Demon's Souls is next on the list. Now, have any of you seen the comparison stuff that's come out since?
I saw a photo today, like a screenshot of it. Like people were like excited over. I feel, but then again, I don't know how. I'd never played Demon's Souls, so I don't know.
Mick Doherty, if you, I'll just say Mick D just for safety.
Yes,
I know you're a big. I mean, there's a lot of us are, but you're a big Souls fan.
yes.
See, as am I. But I Demon's Souls is all right. I've said it.
I've never played it. I have seen
Okay.
it, and it does look
It's aged.
okay. Aye.
I played it a lot when it came out.
I
Demon's
tried.
Souls.
Is it hard as balls?
It's
See,
not
the thing
just
is,
that.
but it was new when it came out.
That's
It
what I
wasn't.
mean.
Yeah.
They weren't
It wasn't.
even
It wasn't
bothering
just that
to
it was
tell you.
hard. Like now, when you get a From Software game or a Souls game, you expect it to be hard. Then it was just like, fuck you, try and
What
do
is
this.
this
And it was,
game? What is-
yeah.
and I remember putting it on and thinking, because I, how long ago did it come out? Was it 2000?
It was a
I want to
PS3
say
game.
2008.
I'll look
2008
it
or
up.
something
I'll
like
look
that.
it up.
But or 2009, I think. And I put it on.
Oh, man, well done.
And
2009.
yeah, and I just thought it was going to be, it just looked like an action hack and slashy. Jesus Christ!
I think I possibly did try it when it first came
Yeah.
out, because when I was in work, I was like the job I had, I could take games home, play it. I was there for when that was released, and I definitely then at the time remember going, I've never experienced anything this intense.
See, I
And
didn't play it when it came out. I chucked it away. I tried to play it when it first released, but I couldn't do it. So
Was
I
it a
went away
PS3?
from it. It was
Was it a
PS3.
PS3? Straight up,
PS3.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't play it until I played Dark Souls, because I fell in love with Dark Souls. And I went back to Demon's Souls after that and sort of pushed through, because I had a bit more of an understanding of it from. But it's an old game now.
Even
and
the way you access the levels is weird and do you think
was really
we
obscure.
can't know, but do you think this will be, they'll retain that, or do you think they're going to turn what there was into a basically Dark Souls, like with a throughput?
Well, I mean, it looks very different, doesn't it?
It does.
Like-
I don't know. I've got a feeling there'll be like that sort of thing, like the level select stuff that you're talking about. I think that'll stay. I think they'll keep the core of it, mainly because there'll be riots if they don't, because it's quite a beloved game. But I don't think they'll try and reimagine it for what people expect from, say, Dark Souls 3.
It's
I
funny you
think
say that.
I think they'll keep it.
It's funny you say that it's quite a beloved game, because it's one of those games where if you talk to anybody about the Souls, if you talk to the veterans about the Souls series, when they talk to you about Demon's Souls, they'll talk to you about Demon's Souls being the hardest one. Like, it's the hardest one. And there's like a badge of honor thing. It's like for the elite sort of Souls fans. So remaking it now, they're not going to please. Not going to please those people. Most of the people, I think, that really want a Demon's Souls remake are the people that are in love with Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2 and 3 and like the,
And
I think that the purists, they're not going to be for it, I don't think.
And what happened with... Was this a mix-up still with the Bloodborne remaster that was rumoured? Is this
Well,
or is that still on?
Yeah, I think people thought it was going to be Bloodborne, and then it wasn't.
Which I,
if
by the way...
Bloodborne's coming back, it's going to be PC.
Really?
I don't think that... Look at what they've shown you in this reveal. And look how they didn't say, oh, it's, Spider-Man's not actually a full game. They didn't say that. They could have. They've very much been about, we're moving forward, not backwards. So...
But anyway, I think, like... Look,
I don't know.
people are... I think Demon's Souls, out of all that series and whatever, if you include all those kind of games, Demon's Souls is definitely the right one to tackle now, because it is so old. I think it's just like... bring out, because I personally felt that when the Bloodborne remaster was doing the rounds, the rumours, I was definitely on like kind of going, really, does that need to happen? No, because like I still think Bloodborne looks fantastic. I just love the way it is, and I don't think there might maybe there's technical situations that need to be sorted out, but as a standalone like visual thing, like Bloodborne still Chef's
Still,
kiss.
it's a high point of the generation still, Bloodborne,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned. It's still
Yeah,
way
yeah.
up there.
We can talk about high points later. We won't rush through these, but obviously Destruction All Stars and Gran Turismo 7. I suspect no one here is going to go, I can't wait for GT7, but I will play it. You know.
I'll play it if I can do the licensing kind of job. I like that. And
but Destruction All Stars, to me, I feel like, unless I'm just desperate, I feel like that was almost like the heart of it is it's a Destruction Derby game, but it's not, because it's obviously not Psygnosis, but it's Destruction. Like there's a cachet that goes with calling a launch title for one of your consoles, I assume, Destruction something.
As soon as I saw that, I automatically thought Destruction Derby.
Yep.
Before the title even came up, I was like, this is like a new Destruction Derby game.
I was picking up a Rocket League vibe.
I got Rocket League so hard. I was like,
Yeah.
is this like a newer version of Rocket League?
Yeah, just the arenas and stuff. I was like, what is this? But now that you're throwing out Destruction Derby, it just makes me kind of like want a remaster of that game, like either 1 or 2, because they were just a lot of fun.
We talked about Horizon Forbidden West. There's not much to say. That's just
Give me
yes, please.
no.
Marvel Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, Returnal. To me, looks like
name.
Housemarque. Yeah.
It's a
But it
bad
looks like
name.
Housemarque are
I
making
like
Souls
that
game.
name.
Do
That
you?
looks like a Souls
I
game
really
to me.
did. Yeah, I like a bit of a pun in a name. I thought it was really good.
But did anyone else pick up on that? I thought Souls dying and repeating the same thing.
Yeah, I expect some I expect a bonfire of some sort in there somewhere.
But Housemarque do the sort of shoot the shmups, and I can imagine. I'll play it. I like it. And Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which they didn't even have to reveal that one here, and they did anyway.
I'll tell you what I liked about Returnal.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound
The name,
like
you-
I'm the name. No, I don't sound like I'm pandering to anyone in particular. But I like the protagonist was like a middle-aged woman. It wasn't like it wasn't just somebody who looked. I don't know.
Chris
It wasn't.
Redfield.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a Chris Redfield or a Jill Valentine. It just looks like she looked like a science teacher or something. It seemed quite original, just that in itself. When I saw the protagonist's face, I immediately thought of quite like Control a little bit, because I thought Jesse Faden was quite well presented in that way. But yeah,
I'd definitely play it. I'd be up for it.
Yeah, I thought the protagonist just looked interesting. Like it's not the sort of thing I expected a burly Space Marine guy or a Samus Aran type or something. But
we got one of them in what was that game? Pragmata.
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure what to think of that.
Is that the Capcom game?
That's a Capcom game.
Is it Capcom? No, I didn't realise that was Capcom. So I'll back up a little bit, because I tend to just sort of respect Capcom until proven right. Yeah,
Said it.
yeah. Well, I'm there then.
I mean, there were. I don't want to sort of give the indie games short shrift. There were a lot of them. I'm just like Bug Snacks looks great. That's the Octodad people. Well up.
That didn't do a whole pile for me, if I'm brutally honest.
I like
I was just a bit like, wow. I don't know.
I'd want to see more of it, to be honest, before I say whether I'm up for it. Just on what I saw, I'm like, okay, but not amazingly hyped for it.
And to be honest, like the very last 2 seconds of that thing running towards the screen actually kind of just made me go, what is going on in this at all? I know that's the whole point of what they're about, I suppose, when you look at Octave, but not for me right now.
I mean, Annapurna were pretty well represented with Solar Ash and Stray, which are console exclusives. Apparently,
I thought Stray looked pretty different.
I like that name.
Yeah.
And the Black Cat. Tribes of Midgard, which is Gearbox published. The Pathless is another Annapurna one. Oddworld Soulstorm, which
it's about time we had a new Oddworld game. I've been saying it for a long time. Yeah. They've been flogging those
big time
sequels, and
it looked great. I thought.
I did think it looked pretty good.
One I thought looked really good was that Super Brothers game, Jet: The Far Shore. That looked. I don't know what it is.
No,
that
looked
what
good
game
though.
that is. Little Devil Inside looked really cool. What else have we got here? I'm looking down the list. That's why I'm looking off camera. If there's wondering. Goodbye Volcano High. Hitman 3, briefly. The only concern I have is they are talking about it being a more darker tone, and that's not what made Hitman and Hitman 2, the reboots, successful. They also are apparently going with the here's Hitman 3 thing again, whereas I really felt like that hurt Hitman 2. The episodic nature of 1, I felt, brought people back each month to play a new level, or I think it was more than a month at the time. But I will play an IOI.
I wonder if they'll
you know.
I wonder if they'll link it to it, because you remember when Hitman 2 released, you download the Legacy Edition and you can play all of Hitman 1's levels and missions and challenges.
Yes, they've confirmed that. They've confirmed that.
Which I thought that was just brilliant. That was.
No, they've confirmed that all of the previous Hitmans can come into 3, including unlocks that you got in those games, apparently. So.
See, the thing about Hitman, though, if they go with a darker tone for Hitman, it's the same as what I said in my review of Hitman 2, is that on the one side, you've got everything, it's all clandestine and you know, people are being murdered, and it's quite dark anyway, but then when you actually play the game, no one plays it that way. Everyone, you know, you're strangling people wearing a chicken suit and things.
Well,
and
look at the suitcase that started out as a bug, where you threw the suitcase and it homed in and kept following people until it eventually hit them. They ended up turning that into a thing. Like they get it. They get the idiot. Yeah. The other thing that we need to talk about, I sort of hate this discussion, but we're a gaming podcast. We have to have it. They revealed how it looked.
Yeah, like a router.
I mean, see, I'm
being facetious. I actually quite liked it, to be honest. I saw it and I was like, it's huge. It's really tall.
It is. I've seen the comparison. It's actually bigger than the Series X, isn't it? It's taller than the Series X by a couple of inches.
But I quite like the colour tone. You know, the white, the black, and the blue together. I think is quite a nice colour palette anyway. So yeah, it looks like it's tall. It looks awful on its side. Like flat, like standing up.
How I'm going to have it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I am sick to death of these consoles being presented this way, like standing up. I've learned from it, like through like my 360 and stuff. Like when the disc just goes around. I'm not saying it like I'm sure they have it sorted for the console to be that way. And it even with its design, as you said, Chris, it looks nicer that way. When you have it lying flat down, it doesn't. It's
stand up.
Yeah,
I've always had mine vertical. Yeah.
I just don't have like my I have a unit and I put all the consoles into it. You know, so this is like this is the situation now where I can't do that. I think it looks really nice.
Just needs to have a big space because that looks almost reminds me of. Do you remember the very original PS3, the fat one?
Exactly.
I thought like a Skybox. It looked like a Sky TV. You know, the original Sky TV box is the big white.
All the memes. All the memes.
Yeah. I did see somebody do a size comparison that they took like the measurements and they put like a full size box of cornflakes on top of a carton of orange juice, and that's how big it is. And they put it up on their stand, and it was like a quarter of the way up the telly, and showing it how it is side by side. You know,
genuine question, and no sort of entertaining answers, just honest question. Does anyone here actually care how it looks?
Nope.
Not really.
I think you couldn't give a shit. I don't like the design of the PS4 that much, to be honest. It's just a black box that stands on my...
I'm with you, and I think they've gone for something very different. It's all about the games, and so we're going to do something before we move on. We haven't done for a while because there's no E3 this year, but we did once upon a time give the press conferences a score or a rating, and I thought it'd be fun just to see out of 10 what. Let's start with you, Chris Hyde. What would you give? What was it called? The PlayStation 5 reveal.
There was a sub name for it about. I can't remember what it was called now.
Doesn't matter. But what would you give
it?
I mean, I kind of agree with kind of what Adam was saying. It's very, very strong. Like a lot of games, a lot of games I'm interested for and up for, and done quite well. A lot of shapes. I know what the PlayStation shapes are now because I got reminded of them.
It's good.
About 50 times throughout the presentation. But yeah, I'd say go with solid 9. I thought I was really impressed with it, to be honest.
There was a brief moment where I actually thought the console was going to come in 4 different varieties.
Yeah.
Each was the shape.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah. Mick Doherty.
You're getting there.
8.5, I'd say. It was good. I think it was like 8.5. Wasn't quite a 9. Wasn't quite an 8. But I think it was the Gran Turismo advert just kind of lost me, just because it was just driving, and I thought my sound had went off, and I'm like,
show that though. It's difficult to show that. They have to say we've got a racing game too. It's difficult to fit that in, I think.
I just would like a bit of music or something rather than just here's inside your car. You're driving.
Car porn. Yeah, it's car porn.
Well,
so 8.5. So this is high scores. Adam Carroll?
I think overall, as I said already, I loved it. I did like I love that it was just straight up game. Have at it. This is what we all have been wanting every time we've been tuning into these conferences lately, and they did that. I appreciated that there was nobody just bragging about the console hardware, because it's just like, just show the fucking thing. Here we go. I did kind of drift off a small bit throughout the middle, maybe, with some of the titles, like Sackboy, or is it Sackboy? Yeah, I appreciate that that's their character. These are their things, like, you know. But it's just not my bag. I'm just like, all right, cool, come on, get on with it. So some occasions I maybe drifted off there. I have to say though, I am annoyed by the no price. I really thought
you were never getting a price.
Why not? I don't see why not.
Microsoft haven't revealed their price, and it's too far away.
It's not though. It's coming out this year. It's like, drop the price, pre-orders. Like, we need to start getting these through. Like, you know, people need to decide whether they can go forward and afford these things now. And like, we want to start saving and putting the bit away down in the deposits.
Climate we're in as well. You know, people aren't sitting on hundreds and hundreds of pounds ready to spend it on a console. They're just not.
Like,
and
do you know,
I would like to be able to plan ahead at this point.
Yeah,
it's
like
6 months to the end of the year. It's not long.
They're throwing out quite a bit of stuff at the end. Like we didn't even mention it, but we're getting a digital edition of the console. Like, this is...
Well, they also showed a HD camera, which was the first hint towards a PSVR 2 or something. Because you noticed there was no mention of VR. None.
Yeah, nothing.
But they showed a headset and a camera and a controller.
Maybe they're waiting to drop a third... maybe we get a third SKU when Xbox reveal theirs.
Yeah. And then just the only thing was with the reveal of how it looked, we all just said we didn't really care. But when I did see it, I went, here we fucking go. You go online, you see a load of jokes, people being smart, look at my internet modem.
You did about the Xbox, the fridge thing.
Exactly, but I have to say, the only thing I questioned was, why is there this extended plastic ears thing?
I don't know.
There's no need for it. Like, you know, we just didn't need that on the console. But overall, really strong. I am looking forward to a ton of games. I would say I'd give it a very, very strong 8.
Wow, lowest so far though.
Yeah,
Mick.
I think I pretty much agree with that. I mean, I like the fact that there wasn't a great, like, Xbox like to talk about their hardware all the time, and they like to do they don't like to sell it as a games machine. They have this entertainment. But with Sony, that last night was just, here's the games. Do you know what I mean? It was like, we know the criticisms that sort of Xbox and Microsoft got when they didn't show games, and they haven't. And all people really want to know right now is what we can play on it. And I think they did a really good job of that. I think just the fact that the trailers just went from trailer to trailer to trailer. I think they talked about Horizon Zero Dawn a little bit, which is sort of when I tuned out, because I wasn't really, you know, I got great respect for the people that make these things, obviously, because I absolutely love games. But at the same time, I just wanted to see more. So as soon as they started talking about the development process of Horizon Forbidden West, I just thought, stop talking, show me something new. But overall, I thought it was fantastic. And I really, really, I think the design is deliberately, like, ostentatious. I think they've been producing sort of big black consoles for so long, and they all start to look a bit samey. Like, you know, I remember getting all excited when I could buy like a salmon pink PS2 and things like that, just because it was because it was different. And I think the PS3, the PS4, there's not that much difference in it. Even the Xbox Series X, I mean, it's just like somebody's put the Xbox One into a crusher and just sort of squared it off. So, and I was really unimpressed with the design of the Xbox Series X. So I thought that I'm glad that Sony have deliberately sort of gone over the top with that. I don't mind that it's deliberately, you know, a bit ostentatious. So I did like that. But yeah, overall, I thought it was, if there'd been a price, I'd have been happier, because I just want to know what it's going to cost.
I just want to know, man. That's it, yeah.
Or even, we can probably guess a rough release window, I guess. But no,
November.
I thought,
November,
yeah. It was coming out on my wife's birthday, so I have to, you know, not actually buy it on day one because I'm supposed to be buying flowers.
Buy that for her.
yeah, I'll buy it for her. Here you go. Yeah, I don't want that. Well, I'll use it. But no, I thought strong. I'd say 9. I'd probably give it a 9. I probably would have gone 10 had there been, you know, a Bloodborne 2 in there or something. But no, I think a 9. I thought it was really good. They did a really good job.
So for me, I think they are. They're going in the Nintendo route of saying we want to bring you all the games, all the new games, and all these amazing versions of games, of series you love. And I also felt like that was a massive indication of something quite exciting, because for me, what I came away thinking the most about was that this is the first time in a while everyone's talked about how the Xbox and the PS5 are going to be quite similar architecturally, I should say, in English. And that sort of made you think, is this going to be a thing where these are basically, it doesn't matter what you pick, you're going to get roughly the same experience? That PS5 reveal show, for me, was quite a clear indication that the audiences Microsoft are going for are not the same that Sony are going for. And that's exciting. It seems to, and maybe Xbox will surprise us. They have to, I think. But what I felt like is Xbox are definitely going for the route, and they said as much. Like, Phil Spencer has been quoted in an interview saying, basically the most important thing to us is to get Game Pass into people's hands. Because, well, we know why. But what that has left is like me looking at Microsoft and going, in last gen, take Bloodborne out, take God of War out, right? Those two go strongly up against, for me, Cuphead and Ori and the Blind Forest, okay? And they did nothing to promote those games. Nothing. They talked about them at E3 after E3 after E3, and then they came out, and then they released a definitive edition. And then what did they do with these 2 exclusives that were 2 of the best exclusive? They put them on Switch, both of them. Sony are saying, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, choice is good, but Sony is saying, we're not doing that. That's fine. You can do that. That's cool if you want to have it so that you can play Halo Infinite on your Xbox One S for 2 years, which is, again, they've said, that's fine. Sony is saying, no, this is the PS5, and these are the games you're going to play on it. Now, some of them will be PS4 games. Some of the third-party stuff will definitely be out on PS4 this year. But to me, it was exciting because I was a bit worried. I felt like the new generation is always quite exciting. Like, what can this new hardware do? You try not to get swept up in it, and then it's like last night, it was like, this is it. But with the Xbox One, and Mick, Mick Fraser, you and I have discussed this a fair bit. With the Xbox Series X, we've got gaming PCs.
Yeah.
And that's not saying there's no value in having a nice big box that's half the price of a good gaming PC that you can sit at your sofa of, but we don't need it.
Yeah, that's the thing for me.
If you want to play those PS5 games, you need a PS5. So what Microsoft have to do, not need to do, must do, is show their library. And I don't know that, and hopefully I'm surprised, they can't announce a Gears. We've just had one. Halo, Forza, and for those not watching, I'm gesticulating and...
what?
They've bought all these studios.
Yeah.
But I felt like Sony have bought... Like, they bought Insomniac, didn't they? And they said, Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, Bosch. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's the way Microsoft are going. So for me, Sony really came out like just... I was not... I won't lie. I knew about some of the games in advance. One yet that hasn't been announced. But that fucking floored me. That was borderline perfection. I'm going to go 9.5. That was like, this is how you reveal a console. And it's... Because I'm one of these again that with the Xbox, it's like, I don't need you to keep telling me it's got this RAM and this. We get it. The next generation will be more powerful than the last. That's the way iteration works. Sony, you take the GDC thing out because that wasn't for us. That was for developers. The first information broadcast to the world was what you saw, and it was incredible. That's PS5 dealt with. Done, lads. It's all done. Not the end of the podcast though. Mick, Adam, Chris Hyde, You've been playing Desperados or Desperados.
Oh, we have.
I'm just sit and listen for a little while.
Yeah. The review is actually, the review went live.
It's gone up, yeah.
It's up, it's up. So you can see
9.5?
that 9.5, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. And it was, I kind of knew it was going to be. I mean, I played the beta, but before I played the beta, I kind of knew it was going to be. As soon as I saw, because I played Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun, and I remember playing Desperados Wanted Dead or Alive a long time ago on a PC back then, and Commandos. I don't know if any of you guys ever played or remember Commandos.
Hard as nails.
And absolutely, and it's that basically, but it's obviously, it's a weird, I can't remember the details. I talked about it when I did the preview of the beta. I can't remember the details, but it's a weird kind of like, some of the people that worked on Commandos then went on to make Desperados. Then those people went on to make something else, which eventually came back around to making Blades of the Shogun, and then and so it's kind of a lot of the same people, but then a lot of new people as well. So it's quite modernized, but absolutely amazing. I really, and it's a stealth game, so there are things people will pick at it if they want to and say, well, the AI is not perfect and stuff, but it's a stealth game to make these concessions. You've got view cones and.
I haven't played a game like this for a long time, in so much as I can't remember the last one.
Yeah.
Because I want to say, and I know you're playing it at the moment as well, as so Command and Conquer Remastered. Are they in the same wheelhouse or not?
Not really.
Because... But I've definitely played a game like Desperados 3, but I can't think what
the nearest thing I can, apart from obviously, like I said, Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun, which I don't know if you've played that or not.
I don't think
but
so.
That is, it's almost exactly. I mean, Desperados builds on it quite a lot with little ideas and nuances, and there's a lot of things that you can tell this developer knows what they're doing. When sometimes you get a developer like Naughty Dog, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. When you get a developer that you without a doubt, they're the top of their field. They know their shit. Like, there's no one else who's developing games like Shadow Tactics or Desperados. No other developers have made games like Commandos. These people have been doing this for a long time. And you can see that they have, because every game they don't fix what's not broken. Let's put it that way. They've taken Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun, which itself is based heavily on Desperados, which is based heavily on Commandos, but all they've really done is added to it. And I don't think there's another game. I can't think of another game that's like it. Like, and I'm not saying I'm not.
Maybe that's why I can't think of what it was I played, because I genuinely can't. It made me think in a way games. I've said this about another game recently, so I don't want to repeat myself, but it made me think in a way I don't think a lot of games actually make you think now. Like, you almost find it so hard because you've been trained. Like back in the Spectrum era or something, where games were shit and that's why they were hard. Like, now games are hard and you're not trained to. Your brain doesn't comprehend this stuff because games are kind of.
And I text you that, just to quickly jump in. I text you that, and I was like, "How long did it take you to beat the first level, the train level?" And you were just like, "Oh, about 40, 50 minutes." I was like, "Oh, thank God," because I thought I played it really bad.
Yeah,
because it was that for me too, and I was like. Jesus, it took me that long. I was like, am I not doing something right?
But at no point was I. But when I did that, and I sort of sat back and I looked at the screen, and I was like, oh shit, I was playing that for 40 minutes. At no point did I look back and go, oh, I was actually thinking, oh, if they're that long, I can't squeeze another one in before dinner. I kind of want to.
That's the thing that I keep coming back to, is trying to think of why I like it so much. And I think, you get to the end of a level, and I'm so glad to hear everyone else taking like an hour to finish a level, because oh my God, I thought I was just terrible. Yeah. But you get there and it tells you, it took you an hour and 6 minutes to do this level, and you're like, really? I've been at this for an hour and 6 minutes. Like, that time just flies, even though it's quite static in what you're doing. You move from one bit to the next, but time just goes like that.
I don't think many games do that though, Chris, because most games have to be kind of, look, we appreciate that you've got maybe 30 to 60 minutes, so we kind of have to design this level to be about 30 to 40 minutes tops. So to have a level like take an hour is like kind of almost shows a bit of bravado.
Yeah.
But I was tweeting. I was texting you and Chris the other night while I was playing it. If you remember it, I was like,
but believe it or not, it was that evening later that Adam texted me and asked the same.
yeah, because it was 2 hours on one level, and I'd 2 hours and 11 minutes, and I couldn't stop though. It wasn't like, I mean, I spent long periods of time on one, like I don't know, Dark Souls, trying to beat Ornstein and Smo for, I don't know, 2.5 hours ago. But that was frustrating, and it was blood, sweat, and tears. And by the end of it, I was so knackered I just switched it off. But Desperados, I sat there for 2 hours and 11 minutes of this one level, just trying to fucking beat this mission. And then when I did, I went straight into. I didn't even pause. I just went, right, what's next? Because I can't. It's one of those games where it's constantly, because you don't even unlock the 5th character till I think it's about mission 7 or 8 before you even get to the 5th character. So potentially you've played sort of maybe between 6 and 10 hours already before you even get the 5th character, and she's so fucking cool. Like the things that she can do are so cool, and there's such game changers in her particular missions that and also it introduces characters, but then it doesn't give you all their tool set straight away.
Yeah, I know.
So you'll get the character, and they'll get one of their little tricks, and then in the next mission, they'll pick like Hector, the big Mexican guy with the bear trap. For the first few missions, he's got no ranged weapon; he's just got his bear trap and his axe. But then, in the beginning of one mission, he's hiding in the shed, and he comes out and he's got a sawed-off shotgun. He says, "I found this in the shed," and then that's it. He's got a sawn-off shotgun for the rest of the game. And those little progressions that are natural. It's not like, you've earned so many coins in this level, now buy this upgrade or unlock this. It's not like that. It's very linear in how it unlocks everybody, but it's so well paced that you're constantly sort of it's not until you get to around mission sort of 10 or 11 that you've really unlocked everything. It's just really, really well paced.
And I think that's what I was going to say. Like the pacing is amazing, because by unlocking those things every to every mission or whatever you're doing, it allows the kind of levels, the enemy placement, and the design of what you're trying to overcome to be different each time. So you're in a new level, and because you've got a couple more tools in your arsenal, like there's even harder and trickier setups to overcome. It's not just the same the same setup from the train level at the start. There's more things thrown at you, more situations, just like, how am I going to get out of this? And you're like, no, I've unlocked that new ability that now can distract those guys or whatever, and you just feel like you're constantly learning as you go as well, because you're unlocking things as you go, which I thought was really cool.
Like I think to go back to what you're saying, Adam, I've never played anything like this on console. Like, I've played Command & Conquer on PC and console, and yes, you could say, the kind of ideas slightly similar, but at the same time, it's really not. Like, Desperados is a very different beast, and I haven't played like any other Desperados title, but this kind of game on a console there's a lot going on that you have to like on PC. Obviously, it's going to be the prime way of playing this,
Yeah, you just click where you want to go. You just click
exactly.
Everything.
Like on console, it's obviously a bit trickier. You're navigating the camera with the right analog stick, and that's something I said to both Chris and Ed that like I had a lot of trouble with. That when I got like caught, I just run and I'd forget to like pan the camera also. So I'm just like, it's all going wrong for me. But I love that whole learning, even down to like small things like early on, forgetting like the radar, the sensors on every character, figuring out which one, where they're looking and stuff. And sometimes I wouldn't even spot a villain. I'd be like, Jesus, that prick is up there, I didn't see him at all. There was one very funny thing where, is it Hector you said, Mick? With the big bear trap thing. They give you that like early quick tutorial of the bear trap basically, and I was like, this is gonna be class. So I was like, placed it down, and I was like, into the bush I go, and I sat in the bush and did the whistle, and a longer man comes, he goes, what? And just like skims right past the trap and just finds you straight in the bush, and it just kicks off, and I'm just like, everything goes wrong. But I think what it does so well, there's two of my favorite things about this game overall are I adore instantly how each level looks. I love the visual aesthetic going on. I love all the small details. I love just how Western it all is. And I know that's easy to say because it is a Western game, but we don't
get many of them. We said
no, don't get many of them.
And really weird.
It's one of the coolest settings.
Yeah.
And I think like because you're stealthing around, you're taking down enemies, and that just feels cool anyway, right? When you pick someone off or you get past an enemy, that's cool. Then to do it in the Wild West, which is one of the coolest settings ever, I think that's what you just feel amazing. Just you are the Don, just wandering around. It's so good.
That's it. There's that. So that whole setting is amazing. But when I realized, okay, the levels are this long to do, and they get longer as they go on, obviously, I feel the best thing that Desperados does is each enemy that you take down feels like a humongous achievement. It just like that obstacle just wiped is like boom. It's just like a checklist. And like I said this to you, Ed, even in that same train level, like I went, how did you go about when you had to get the dynamite and stuff? And you were saying, I just wiped out everyone, and then went up there and I was like, you wiped out everyone? And to me, that just sounded like the craziest idea ever.
Yeah, I killed everyone in every mission, I think.
But what I found out afterwards, when you get the results screen, for want of a better phrase, is it occurred to me that I could just keep picking up dynamite when all the lads came at me and just kill them all. But I didn't. So it feels like the game's telling me to get out. You see there's like a, I don't know what they would be called, like a
challenge, isn't there?
Yeah, like for actually killing like 80 people or something with dynamite. I was like, yeah, but it's genius.
Like I snuck around the back and I took them out and I was like, that's enough for me. And then I threw the dynamite and I was like, these 10 other lads I didn't kill. I was like, I should have gotten rid of them, I think, because now they're just on my case.
Oh wow!
But that was all amazing, and like the showdown mode that we didn't talk about yet, which is that's spectacular.
So when you've got the missions where you've got 3 or 4 characters, I think there's only a couple of missions where it gives you the full 5. But when you execute a showdown, and because you can be all over the level, like you can be all over the mission, you can be everywhere.
Ask you, how far can you? Because I have not played more since last week. There's other games I've been playing. How far can you go with that mode? Because it seemed like I could just, if I had an action I could do, I could queue it.
Yeah, you can queue it. You can chain a couple of actions
That's
each
what I was
as well. So
like
you can even have
take a shot.
You can. If you could, the big action, so you could sort of move and then take an action. So you couldn't throw a coin and then pull a shot. You'd have to do that separately. But little things like you can, during showdown mode, if you want to, have one of the characters sort of grab a body and drag it in a bush, and you can set that up if you click the body and then click the bush. And then, so there's a couple of missions where you've got a lot going, like the long coats, because Kate, who can distract the guards and can walk around disguised, the long coat villains, they see straight through it. They just look at her and they know she's not. So trying to keep one of those guys out of the way while you're distracting a guard, and you've got to take 2 guys out because you get quite a lot of situations where there's 2 guards just stood there talking. And like if you get behind either one of them, they see you, but you can sort of go up the sides of them because they're in their conversation. But you get a lot of situations like that where you sort of kill them, and before the long coat gets back, you need another character to sort of grab the body and chuck it in a bush before he gets there. So it's the showdown mode. Just
it's fantastic. I also get a fierce chuckle out of every level that ends and showing your pet. Like
that's so good. The replay.
Honestly, I laugh so much because I see the areas where I've struggled, and it just shows me going back and forth. Because
I tell you what I find really clever about that. Really clever is that like this mission in particular that I spent sort of 2 hours and 11 minutes on. The replay only shows you your straight path. Somehow it takes away all the reloads. So it tallies them in the corner. It tallies quick save, quick load, quick save, quick load. But it doesn't show you those reloads. So if you watch the mission, it shows your complete run and takes your cock-ups out. So what you see is you start the mission, and because this mission, when I watched the replay of it, I'd spent 2 hours 11 minutes the mission time. I said when I played it, it was like 1 hour and 6 minutes, and I said it to the guy. I said it in the review. I had an hour solid of just me fucking up through that level, and that whole hour, 50% of that level was me cocking stuff up. But when you watch the replay, it just shows you me zipping around like I was like almost like what's that Katana Zero game where you keep fucking up through the level, and then when you watch it at the end and it shows you it flawlessly, it's like that. And I thought, and then you look at the speed run, the speed run time is 17 minutes. So I thought,
stop!
Taking the piss.
That's sick, ridiculous.
I found, and I wonder if this is just my playstyle, I found it made me kind of bloody minded a little bit. Like there was, in that first train level, there is a section at the top near the dynamite where you can set like the guards off. There's like they're around a bonfire, little campfire sort of thing, and there's a spawn for guards to keep coming. And I could have at any point quick loaded, because as I said last week, the game encourages it. It wants you to do that. That's fine. It's designed for you to learn. But no, I'm not. I found it. I don't know. Is that why it takes such a long time to do a level? Because you could just go no. I can do this.
Quite often you can.
The same reason over and over again.
Quite often you can shoot your way through. It's not because the radius of even the gunfights is always quite contained in an area.
It is, yeah.
And usually, if you do cock up, you can. I did because there was a level where I don't know if you guys have got that far, but it's not actually that far into it. But there's a mission where the mission that took me so long, I thought I'd done it. I thought I'd finished the mission, and in this mission, you can set fire to the longcoat guys. You can pick up brands of like flaming logs and you can throw them into oil in a puddle that they're standing in, and it burns them. And when I thought I was finished, I thought, yeah, I'm done. And then there's a little cutscene, and then no, you're not done. Now you've got to burn this guy who's in, and the bonfire that's next to you is now snuffed out. So you've got to get to the bonfire that's in the middle of all these guys. And all of a sudden, every other enemy from the mission, everywhere in the mission, comes to this area. Like the longcoat whistles, and they all come to this area, and they're all there stood around this bonfire. And I spent so long save scumming and reload, and I just couldn't. And in the end, I just fucking shot everybody. And it was. I thought, you know what? Hector's got this scattergun that will kill anybody in its cone, and you know you've got. The Doc McCoy's got the sniper, and in the end, I just thought, fuck it, I just shot everybody, and it was. But I didn't feel like I'd failed. I felt like I almost felt like I'd cheated a little bit because I thought, but then I thought no, because the game gives you that option. You can. It's not like you exploit.
It's an interesting situation,
and then because you watch the trailers for the game, and it shows you a lot of go quiet, go loud, and it wants you to. And I thought, have I been maybe making it hard for myself all this time by trying to sneak past everybody when I could have probably just shot everyone? Because I bet the speedrunners don't fuck about. I bet everybody. I bet they pull guns left, right, and centre. And
it's interesting because that's the level you get the shotgun in. So I bet that is intended. So it just makes you think like there's so many different ways of doing it, tackling different scenarios. So I haven't actually tried running and gunning with that shotgun yet. I think I need to because Hector's amazing. I'll give him some time. So, I might have to try that.
But you can unlock as well later on. I think it's about after mission sort of 8. I think it's mission 8 or 9. This character comes into it called the Baron. And he lets you replay missions with different parameters. So, because you can replay missions all you want, as much as you like, just for the fun of it. Like I said, because it wants you to speedrun, you know, there's a reward for it. But this character, the Baron, when he comes in, he wants to challenge you to do these missions with like the train mission, Buyer's Pass. I think it gives you I can't remember who it gives you now, but it's not Doc and it's not McCoy and Cooper. It gives you sort of Cooper and someone else. So you haven't got Doc's sort of long range sniper rifle to take out those guards like you can in it and things like that. It's quite clever. It's still developed that way. You know, it's not like it's randomized, so that it just throws random characters and says, which I would have liked. I would have liked it to throw me in. I would like to have been able to sort of spin a wheel on the missions and go in with random characters, random time limits and things like that. I think that would have been really cool. But as it stands, you know, the extra, because you don't need it, because you could just play the missions over and over again because they're that good. But having the extra, like the Baron missions, are pretty cool.
Well, I've been trying to find a pivot tonally.
A segue for the Last of Us Part II, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, you shoot everybody. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but then we talked a bit more, and I saw that as that was it. Like,
speaking of mass murder, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because we're having a laugh, we're having a good time. But The Last of Us Part II is probably the biggest game this year outside of Cyberpunk 2077, and I've reviewed it, given it a 10 out of 10. And there's actually a lot to say that I didn't say in that review because
you still can't say it.
You still can't
want
say it,
to.
can you?
I feel like this is the first game in many a year that we need to do a spoiler cast for, because I don't want to risk fucking this for someone. Like, this game took me 25 hours to complete. I have seen reviewers say it took them 30. So it's a big game. It's a big game. It's ambitious in a way few games are, because like perhaps they don't have the budget to be that ambitious. But like, again, take any of Naughty Dog's previous games. Take The Last of Us. Take Uncharted. Any of them. They're not 30 hours long, because you play them for 12 hours, and even then you're like, wow, that was a lot of money went into this game. This is twice that. It's remarkable. But I suppose the thing I want to talk about is the story without spoiling the story, okay? Or rather, what they do with the story. So I want to talk about the fact that, like, for the longest time, you sort of know what to expect in a game, right? Especially someone who reviews or critiques games on a regular basis, you, generally speaking, kind of see what a game has to offer aside its story completion. Within a decent amount of time, you know what to expect. The Last of Us Part II, for me, shatters a glass ceiling that has been long overdue coming, in as much as games can't do that, games can't go there. You know, the Mary Whitehouse sort of situation, if you can't do that on the TV, you can't do that in a game. The Last of Us Part II it's paving the way now for the only limitation being the developer's imagination. They approach subject, and it's a shame Chris White isn't here because he could back me up on some of this, but I know he will, perhaps next week. But there are things, like I opened the review in the only way I could, which is to say this game is dark. It is. I genuinely believe there are people who are not going to be able to finish it.
I've seen a couple of reviewers say something similar. Like, even though they've praised certain elements, I've only read one negative review, which was Skillups, but he said, you know, it is really, really sort of relentlessly
dark. Like, there are maybe a couple of moments of levity, but they are raindrops in the storm. Like, they are so few. This is, again, without spoiling, it is so bleak and dark, and it is a revenge story. It is a revenge at all costs story. It is. I cannot stop until the revenge is complete. And again, I'm going to keep saying this. I can't spoil it. It's boring, but they do things with the story that you're not necessarily in control of. Like, there is one moment where it does give you control, and it says, like, press, I think it's cross, can't remember, press cross to do this, and I was like, fucking right, and then it's like, do it again, yep, and and you know the way The Last of Us is, like, you know, the black screen, the like, and then you're like, you know, it's almost like a hard fade to the next scene. It did that, and in the TV that you can see behind me, whereas where I was playing, I played the whole game, and this moment where I had been like, fucking, I want to hurt you. It was almost like a look at yourself thing. All of a sudden, and like you can see behind me if you're watching the video, there's a black screen where all I can see is myself all of a sudden. It's just a reflection of me in the TV, like, fuck. And I genuinely, again, sorry for the fact that I was playing with the PlayStation controller, and I genuinely did that, and I just sort of went, fuck. Like, I want to see what's next, but I also was like, I think I need to stop for. And I didn't. I carried on because I'm a trooper, obviously, hard man Adam, as I'm known. But genuinely, like, and that was not the only moment. Like, and the absolute opposite of that is where it told me to press a button in a different section, different scene, similar ideal behind it, and I was like, I don't want to, and I waited. So I don't want to do this. And it's like, no, you fucking have to. The game can't finish unless you. This is the story, lad. You've got to press it. I guess similar to Death Stranding does that at the end, doesn't it, as well? In the fight scene, I think you have to do it because I kind of wanted to just.
I'm still waiting for the PC version to play that. I haven't played that yet.
But it was one of these scenes where it's like you have to press this to go on, and I was like, I don't want this to happen. I want anything but this to happen right now.
See, that's the problem for me, though.
Yeah,
It's,
that's what I'm saying.
It's genuinely is a problem for me because I love The Last of Us. Like, you know, I've written things about The Last of Us, about how much I loved it. I reviewed, because I know you reviewed the original release of The Last of Us, and I reviewed the remaster on PS4, which I gave it a 10 out of 10. And I love The Last of Us. Like, it's got a lot of people that have picked it apart since, and I understand why. As a critic, I can see what they're saying. That some of the platforming wasn't great, some of the combat wasn't great. It's got very gamey elements in it. But the thing I loved most about The Last of Us, and this is where I have the biggest problem with the sequel. The thing I loved the most about The Last of Us was how much I loved Joel and Ellie. Okay. Now, so nothing else, like the secondary characters, the two guys you meet with the little brother who sort of gets bitten, and then it's horrible, and all those side characters that come into it, they're fine. I quite like Tess at the beginning. It was a shame what happened, but Joel and Ellie, those characters, their dynamic, the way they were written, the father-daughter relationship, being the father of a daughter myself, the bit at the beginning where Sarah is killed. I remember actually speaking to you at the time of playing that and saying, fucking hell, that hit me so hard in the beginning. The first 12 minutes of that game, I was almost in tears because it spoke to me as a father, and that's what it did.
I can still remember to this day where I was sat and I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
So, and then the surrogacy of Ellie for Sarah throughout, you build up this relationship, when I wrote the replay about it, and I went back and sort of did a look back on The Last of Us. And one of the biggest things about that was the ending, the ending for me was one of the best endings of a video game ever. I thought it was fantastic. I don't know if you guys have played The Last of Us and you know the ending, but the choices Joel makes, you don't make those choices. Joel makes those choices. You play Joel. He makes the choices. He decides what he's doing. But I was fucking with him 100%. Like, I'd have done exactly the same. And so coming out of that, and I remember putting the controller down, finishing The Last of Us, and I said, I don't want a sequel. I never wanted a sequel. I never wanted to know, because I've got headcanon for those characters for years, and I never wanted more. I was happy with it. Was a grim ending, but it was happy for them, and kind of that world is kind of, that's what it's about. It's everybody's an individualist, and I loved the ending of that game, and I thought. And what made the whole thing, the whole entire game work for me was that Ellie was such a good character, such a well-written character, and Joel was brilliant. And I know in the second game it's different, right? I know there are different, without spoilers, everybody knows there's different, it's a different thing. It's later, Ellie's older, she's not that precocious kid who yells, fuck you at everybody anymore.
She kind of is.
Well, okay, I haven't played it, so I've only seen what I've seen, so I don't know.
She's only 19 now, so she is still young.
I won't pretend I know, but for me it looks different, and I know the dynamic is different, and I know that and the idea, what I've heard of it being so grim and so dark, I don't want that for those characters.
Can I just quickly jump in there, Mick, just to say as well, like when you mentioned the ending of The Last of Us, right? I'm currently playing it now again for the third time, right? I leading up to this one, and this is probably my favorite time playing The Last of Us, because I'm just seeing things differently and what I think might happen going forward and stuff, and it's an exciting thing to do for any game, any franchise, right? With the ending, throughout the whole first game, it's like these characters, and this is what you have, as you said. That ending is probably where the game becomes, I think maybe the intro and the end of the first game is the most personal moment of the game. The ending, especially because of what happens and stuff like that, right? For me, I think, well, as I said, I've yet to play it, and when I do, I have a feeling, and Adam, you could probably go, the second one is going to be the most personal thing ever. Like, I think this is the only way they could go about it. And like, I know I'm guessing if you read the setup of this sequel and stuff, and what we've seen in trailers, and Adam, I've told you that I think some current certain situation will happen. Maybe I feel the game might push this out that far, but I think, like, I'm seeing like the bleakness, like I'm hearing with the bleak, how dark it is and stuff. Like, I think that's the only way this could be, because like at the end of the day,
absolutely right.
That's why I didn't want the sequel. That for me, that's why I didn't want them to do.
Okay, so
fair enough, but that's where the game was. Like I don't want Ellie jumping around the place in a fucking Tanuki suit. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's just going to have to happen at its personal level. It's just going to have to be like gut punching.
I mean, that's one way of putting it. Like, the main theme of part 2 is revenge. It's revenge, but if there is a secondary, well, there is a secondary theme, it's consequence, and that's what I think. While the game is, I know it's a trope to say this, which in itself is a trope to say, but it is a very visceral experience, and I know it's not a very popular thing to say, but the visceral experience is the violence, is the depression, is the anger, the hatred, the revenge, the undercurrent of the whole game that seeps through it. That you don't like. I finished this game at the point people are watching this nearly a month ago. I am still thinking about it. Like, it's still playing on my mind. It's like I want to play it a third time. I've already finished it twice. You know, I don't do that with a review very often, especially when that long. The undercurrent of consequence is so important, and as you're playing it, and as you more in fact as I reflect on it, I think about how what you just said, Nick, about the end of that first game. Yes, I was with you. Done. Don't need any more. However, what I'm actually left feeling now is that's not true. That ending is not a true ending. Like you said, that's a happy ending. It's not a truth. It's the ending of the game, but it's not the truth of the world. That it can't stay like that. Even if they went off and lived a happy life forever after, they would be attacked by clickers at some point. They would go somewhere trying to get resources.
I didn't imagine them building a cabin in the woods and living happily ever after.
But what I'm saying is there are consequences to every choice in life, and Last of Us Part 2 is the consequences of actions that happened in Part 1. And I actually think I'm so I am amazed. I always remember tangent. Like, I know that Adam Carroll will know what I'm talking about. Mark Everett, from Eels, right? I remember their third album. They went into the record company with this is the album, and the record company came back and said, "You are not putting this album out until you give me a hit." And they went into the studio and did Mr. E's Beautiful Blues. You know, goddamn right, it's a beautiful thing, and it's like a hidden track on the album, but it's there. It was a single. And they went, yeah, fine, fuck it, whatever the rest of it, fine. Mm-hmm. That's the sort of power the bosses have. There are scenes in this that I fucking cannot believe Sony didn't go, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, just no. There are, I mean, there's one absolute, I mean, fuck me. I genuinely put the controller down and went, fucking hell, like, this is...
And you got to understand how much this is probably killing all of us right now.
I know. But I would love to say, I would love to say the exactitude of what I am, because I guarantee you, every one of you is going to hit this moment when a reveal happens, and you're just going to go, okay, I need a second. I need to fuck.
Crash Bandicoot is going to kill Joel.
Ellie is secretly a giraffe. I've said it. Like,
you know what though?
I want to say it's important. I just want to say I want to get this out there. I know people have read the spoilers, okay, and I'm not going to address what those spoilers are. What I am going to say is you might have read that plot. What I'm trying to we're trying to moderate our YouTube comments on the videos because there's a lot of shit being said. But you might think you know.
Yeah, there's no context to those spoilers.
I've played it. You don't fucking know. You might think, oh yeah, but so and so and this and that. Yeah, but you don't know. Trust me, as someone who knew those spoilers when I started the game, and I thought, how are they going to... That's the way I would go into it. I would go thinking, well, I trust this developer. I've trusted them with all these games, and they've always delivered for me. How are they going to do that? That's the positive way to look at things. Yeah. Not be a cunt, quite honestly. I've come out of it going, I can't believe they got me on board with everything they did. Like, I should, as a fan of that game, be coming away going, I can't believe they did that. And what I am coming away going is, fuck, they did it. They got me on board. Like, and that...
Their best game?
Say, yeah.
Yeah, well,
best game, best story. Like, I don't know. Again, like I say, I don't know how someone at Sony didn't say, probably in 2 of the scenes actually, you can't do that, or at least you've got to cut away. You can't show. You've got to cut away from that. You can't show that, because there's a scene they actually showed, and they have shown in trailers, that is particularly brutal, involving a hammer. Okay.
Yes.
In fact, I think it's one of the first things they ever showed of the game, in the woods with the hammer.
Yeah, it was.
That's not the complete scene. Where they cut to black, there's more. In the game, so basically, I mean, it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailers. There's a moment with a hammer that goes like that, and they cut at that when the hammer's about to hit. They don't cut away in the game. That scene goes on a lot longer. They don't cut that. They cut that because I guess they felt like in terms of promotional material they had to. That's enough. But in the game, they don't cut there. There's no black screen there. There's no me standing looking at myself in the fucking TV going like there. That's just.
See, here's what the problem is for me, right? This is the problem for me. I like storytelling. I'm a writer. I get it, right? And it doesn't just have a place in games. It's important in games, right? But for me personally, like I'm going to get into a comment war with anybody about this. For me personally, right, the reason I play games is to escape. It's escapism, right? I love it. I love to get into a world, into a story, into a universe, lose myself in the lore, what have you. But the difference between how I fell in love with The Last of Us, because the theme of The Last of Us was hope, right? I think the theme of the first game very much is hope. Ellie is hope. That's what Joel is, carrying the fucking Olympic torch through that game, right? That's what Ellie is. So in the second one, that's gone. So that thing, and I'm a person that when I play games, I want that hope. I want to know, like when I play, it doesn't matter how grim the game is, I want to know that at the end of it, I'm going to probably get out alive. My character's going to maybe not have a happy ending, but is going to have his or her little victory, what have you. Yeah. But like when I look at The Last of Us, and The Last of Us Part II, I've consumed an awful lot of the hype now. Obviously, I edited your review, so I know how you felt about it. We talked about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. I saw the spoilers, and you put some of them in a little bit more context for me. Without
not fully, if I'm honest.
No, yeah, exactly. Without, I mean, you were very careful with sort of the NDA rules, but so you couldn't tell me a lot of it, but you did put some of it into context. And for me, like I don't like. I want to play this game because because I'm a critic, because I'm a gamer, because I do this. I want to play this game like part of it, and because I fucking love Naughty Dog, and I trust them. I want to play this game, but I have the idea of it being so relentlessly grim and bleak. I feel like it's going to put me through the ringer, which I know is probably the reason. It's deliberate, and they want that to happen. But that's what's putting me off. That's what's making me hold off, because for me, that escape. I don't want to escape into something that's much, much darker than this and isn't going to have a light at the end of the tunnel.
I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I remember talking about how Resident Evil Nemesis, I couldn't play it, but this is different. There's something about the personability of the characters. There's something about how much I'm attached to these characters that I just wanted. It was nice to spend time with them, and I know that's a weird thing to say in a game that is essentially a murder simulator. But
and as you said, Mick, with the Naughty Dog thing, you love Naughty Dog. I'm the exact same. Like, even regardless of how I'm feeling, and with the current situation of the world, there's no way I could just be like, I'll give it a few months.
That's it. I can't miss the game.
I have to play it. I have to.
The only thing I want to say as well is to people who are listening, and again who've read the spoilers, I fucking hate that this needs saying, because it should not matter. But there are a lot of people talking about a certain character who have got the completely wrong idea about that character. Let's just put it that way. Like,
I've seen our comments.
Yeah, like it is a fucking disgrace that needs saying, because it should not matter. But I am going to say that if you're one of those people, I believe in teaching rather than expelling. I believe that if we can bring you in and change your feelings and educate, right? And I would normally be the person to say, I would like to listen, I'd like to be educated, but this is something I've played it. No, I'm the only one here who's played it. At the time of this going live, same deal. No one who's listening to this has played it. I shouldn't have to say that person isn't what you think that person is. But I am saying if you're one of those out there having a go at the game because of what you think, which is, again, by the way, wrong, you're going to feel really, really shit when you do play. Because you will play it. Because you'll play it even just to say, but you will play this game. And from what you've been saying, you'll feel really bad. And that's why you should educate and think about other people a little bit more and how important things can be to other people. Because I am a white male, married to a woman, and none of the shit you're being angry about mattered to me one bit going through the game. I love the characters. I love the game. So unless anyone's got any questions about it, we should move on, because we will talk about it with Chris next week and the week after when Ad's played it, and you know.
I was just going to say that now you're talking about how bleak it is.
Yeah.
Like, I think, so I hear what you're saying, Mick, is like you want a bit of hope in that, but see, like, I've always thought that games that deal with post-apocalyptic type scenes should be a bit more bleak.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a fair point, yeah.
Like, because you think it, like, I like
bleak,
Fallout.
No, Fallout,
no.
It's not bleak, no.
That's always kind of, for me, I think that's kind of, it ruins it a wee bit, because you're expecting to go out and things are meant to be a bit crap. I think it just makes it a wee bit more realistic. I don't really like the whole kind of like, oh, there's this wee happy ending at the end there. Like, I think that's why I liked Halo Reach so much, knowing that this isn't going to end well, even though you're playing it as like, oh, it might, but it's no, it feels like it's a more. Those endings are a lot more impactful for me. Like, I prefer those kind of endings to the, oh, here's the nice Disney wrapped happy ending you've got.
And so again, no spoilers. A lot happens in the first 3 hours of this game, but what happens in the first 3 hours of the game sets up the why things are. They set the story up as games do, but they very much give you a very specific, very believable and reason that you want to get on board with. So I think, although what you're saying about the bleakness, Mick, it might be too much. They give you an objective that pulls you through for 23 hours after that, I suppose. I think this is how confident I am, right, Mick? If you buy it and don't like it, I'll pay for it. That's and no bullshit.
Say you don't like it.
No, because I know
Terrible
you're going
game.
to lie to me. That is how confident I am that you will like it. You will. I'm trying to think. There was a game similar where you were like, I think I was slightly ahead of you, and you were catching up, and it was. I've done this with Chris with God of War, and it was like, have you seen the moment? Have you seen the moment? You will. I am dying to talk about one scene because I just can't believe they were allowed to do it. But we've got to move on because I'm going to end up.
I can't bear it anymore.
Not long, mate. Not long.
No. Has anyone got any games they want to talk about, or shall we get into listener correspondence? If anyone's got anything, then
I'll very quickly talk about Project Warlock.
You better tell people what it is, because I suspect people might not know.
I was supposed to have played that and I haven't yet.
Me too.
Yeah, do you know what, Mick? I think this is definitely up your street.
Yeah, it looks it, yeah.
So this, I think, originally came out in 2018 on PC, and now it's just after hitting the console scene. So the best way to describe this is it's a love letter to Doom 93. That's what I can take away from this.
Yeah, that's what I got from the trailers, actually. Yeah.
It has the same kind of like art style kind of idea. It does the whole thing of like, press play on the game, you are in straight away. Go. Like, there's none of this like introduction. There's no story really, or just a warlock, kill monsters, get keys. Red key, red door. Yellow key, yellow door. That's kind of it. You move at a fast pace. You got like a little skill tree to upgrade, like kind of certain abilities that you can do yourself, and then like upgrade like your arsenal, like the weapons and stuff. Like you got crossbows, axes, and all sorts of guns. Like really cool. Kind of the weaponry is really cool. All of this in this game, for what it is. It nails it. It absolutely, like, it is like you cannot fault it. If you sit down with this developer and they're like, we wanted to make a love letter to Doom, I'd be like, you did it. You pretty much did it. So if you love Doom, the original Doom, this is right up your street. People are loving it. Reviews are very positive for it. The only thing I will say is like difficulty is there. Like it is challenging. Like you can die straight away, but that's part of these games, isn't it? Like it's all about like burning through it as quick as you can and as skillfully as you can and constantly moving from side to side. Also, actually, a very cool thing it does. In the art style itself, you've got a lot of like boxes and things that are just there, and when it does this very strange thing that if you kind of go past it, the box will move in the same direction as you, so it's always kind of staying in front of you, but it's doing this weird kind of 3D thing. It's a really nice touch. I've never seen anything kind of like it in a game, so it's just a cool little thing. My thing is, this game it has a lot of levels. It has it's very reasonably priced. I think it's only like $12.99 or something across the board, or €15. I'm just not really like ecstatic about it, because I'm like, this is done extremely well. As I said, this is what it is. But do you know, like that, I'm just kind of like, it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's done really well. Like this is great. But like, if you want that buzz right now and you want that kick, get Project Warlock. I also gotta say, I'm sorry, but can we just stop putting Project in the games? Like,
why do they do that?
Why do they put Project? Like, it just seems like I'm not playing
games.
Just named it. Like, I would prefer just Warlock.
Yeah,
that would have been fine. Project Warlock feels like I'm just playing like a beta or something like that, you know. But like, as I said, it's cool. It all runs super smooth. There's no hiccups at all. Like, there's nothing really to complain. The music is banging for what it is. I'm just not. I'm the wrong person to really say, like, you have to play this game. This is like essential playing. Last of Us 2, piss off. Get Project Warlock. Like, it's not going to be that, you know. But that's kind of really all there is to it. Like, there's
I've got it installed, and I just because it's just been kind of quite a big release, you know, period the last couple of weeks. I just haven't got around to it yet. And there's no disrespect to the developers and stuff. I really want to play it, and it looks really good. It's it's one guy, isn't it? Yeah. And isn't he quite a young guy as well?
Yeah, 20, I think, 19 or 20.
Yeah. And I cannot say like what I'm saying. I don't want to be negative, because I can't stress enough, it's nailed. It is done. It is like, well done to you, sir. Like, you have made a really good fucking solid first person shooter. Like, this is really cool. It's just like, for me, I'm like, I've played a fair chunk of it, and I have like what I really like about it, and it goes back to me saying at the very start, like, how it just quickly boots up. Like, I kind of like each level could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And I like the way I had like 20 minutes to spare last night. I was waiting around for something to happen. I was like, I'll just try a bit of Project Warlock there. And you know, that's what it's about. You know, that's kind of, that to me is a really cool thing that you can't do with many games. Like, you're not going to be like, 20 minutes spare, Witcher 3. Do you know you're not?
Yeah.
You're not going to do
the
something.
menu.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, it's not that. So like, this is definitely worth your time if you're into this kind of thing. And like, considering it's one guy developing this, like, I'd say everyone should just, if you like Doom, buy it, support it, because like, it's a great achievement. It really is. So well worth your time.
Okay, let's get into some listener correspondence. Where to start? Let's start with the first question, and we'll ask Chris Hyde this one. 4 years in, and I'm just as enthusiastic about Switch as I was on day one. Would you ever consider, well, I suppose this is for all of us, would you ever consider a special episode of the podcast to talk about your favourite consoles, launch day memories, etc.? We listeners could chip in with our stories too. So I've asked you that question, it's really one I'm supposed to answer, isn't it?
Get the answers. Got it.
Would people be up for that? Like, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like, I have the questions here and I'm looking. Yes, I would definitely be up for this. Definitely.
Yeah. Check's notes, definitely up for this. I mean, it's my first pod. If I turn around and go, I'm not up for doing another one, I'm kind of never coming back, am I? So, yeah, I'd definitely be up for this.
Really
I'm all over that.
Really didn't like
yeah, that kind of thing is, it is totally my favourite type of conversation. It always has been, especially after alcohol.
Well, the truth of the matter is I read the wrong question. I meant to read this one for Chris. What's the most amusingly named business in your area? This is from Thomas McInnes. He says, I'm going with the barbers in Falkirk. By the way, he showed me a picture of this. It is true. And this is a barber's called First Class Rumping.
So there's one that comes straight to mind in the town where I live. There's a furniture place called Sofa King. Which is a decent name, but the tagline is amazing because it just goes, "Our prices are Sofa King low," and I'm just like, "Yes, well done, well done." So that's so good luck topping that, lads.
I don't think anyone's topping that. No, I haven't got one like that.
I can't even think of one. I couldn't even think of an amusing name.
It's Chicken Land. It's like a KFC.
Chicken Land, Chicken Cottage. These things.
They're good.
Rotten.
Yeah. There's one. I got nothing.
Do you know? Like I have two, right? There's one in my town, and it's always kind of baffled me. Like, well, it's not, but like, do you know what? When shops, like especially discount shops. So there's a discount shop in my town called Deals, spelled with a Z.
Yeah, I was just going to ask as it goes.
Why is it always a Z? At the end of these,
it attracts a certain type of person. That's why.
Yeah. Right?
It's a certain type of person that only spells with a Z.
That's the shop is woke.
Oh,
aye.
Yeah. The other thing I remember is when I was living in Canada. I remember walking down the street and kind of like looking like this, and then looking back and going, "What the hell is this?" A tire shop called Mr. Lube. Like it just sold.
That's my nickname in college.
It just sold tires,
mate.
Mr. Lube. Like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Is it like, I couldn't put it together at all. Like I felt like going in and going, can I speak to Mr. Lube to see what this is about?
Comes out with rubber gloves on. Yeah. My 9 o'clock's here. Carol.
Yeah.
Mick, Mick D, surely is a fellow Scotsman.
There's the wee Chinese across the fields that's quite good. It's called Let's Walk and Roll, but W-O-K.
That's
okay.
Not bad.
Feels like it's run by English people though.
Oh no, it's
yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I've met the owners; they're dead nice.
Okay.
It's actually got to the point that I can go in. I've been in there that often. I don't need to tell them my order anymore.
Oh
They'll
mate,
just look at me and go, "Yep."
You might think that's good. That's not good.
No, it's not. No, what's really bad is I'm literally across the road. I know all the delivery drivers. They've never delivered to my house, but I know all of them and can stand talking to them.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
First class rumping though. Thomas wins, I think, unless anyone's got another one.
I haven't even got one. I can't even think.
I don't even get it. Like, first class rumping. What's that got to do with cutting hair?
It depends on the extra services they offer.
Well, there you go. Nailed it.
Is that slang?
I wonder if I can find the picture.
Is that like...
If I sat down with a barber and he said to me, "I'm going to give you a first class rumping," I'd be like,
"Rumping."
Sorry?
I'd say, get Mr. Lube first, Leo.
Mr. Lube first.
Yeah. Oh my god! Do you know what? It gets worse. I'm looking at the picture Thomas sent me. It's called First. Oh, by the way, First Class is spelled K-L-A-S-S. First Class.
See, that's like putting the Z instead of the S.
Yeah. First Class Rumpers, traditional barbershop, and the first thing I can see is a poster that said "Kids Cuts." That's not right at all, is it?
No. Let's just backtrack.
Let's move on.
Let's move on before we start talking about
Adam Carroll, who has the two on the team has the sexiest podcast voice.
Well, it's fucking not me anyway. And that's that.
Oh no, I'd go for you. Yeah.
Jesus.
The accent.
No.
I mean, if you were...
You can get a decent Irish voice, but I have heard myself back speaking, and it sounds like I'm constantly angry. That's the problem. It sounds like I'm just giving out.
Your Irish accent is this doesn't. I don't mean this to sound rude. It's quite. I don't mean common as in lots of people have it. I mean you're not like it's not. Like Chris Hyde, if he speaks like he sounds like a posh lad, yours isn't like a posh lad's Irish accent, is it? You're not a posh Irish lad.
No, Jesus, no.
Yeah, you're scum. Is what
I don't know if there's
any. No, how can you do a posh Irish?
Exactly.
Well, no, we're just.
Yeah, please. I don't want to edit this anymore.
I don't think there's a posh Irish person in existence. So
Yeah, but you say that.
Hello
like, we've got
there.
Mick- we've
Top
got
of the
Mick-
morning to you.
I'm just going to keep talking over you, Mick. I can't. But we've got, like, not being funny, like, we've got Mick D here, who's a Scotsman with a Scottish accent, and you're looking at. I can't think I've ever heard of many, like, very posh Scottish people.
Oh, aye, that's the West End Glasgow accent, and it is atrocious.
Okay, can you?
I
mean, it's not
trying to
bad
think,
if you
it's-
do it
it's
because
kinda-
you are from Scotland, so it's not like, you know.
It's some. Can I think of it? It's a kind of weird mix of Edinburgh, Glasgow,
So whereabouts
American.
are you then? Are you what part of Scotland are you? I forget.
Glasgow.
So that's
The other end.
makes sense because when you said Edinburgh, there was this kind of look in your eye that was like,
Oh, it's like that.
Fucking
That
Edinburgh.
lot. Aye.
Mick, please stop doing
What?
accents.
Can I not do accents anymore?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
I'm
the
sure I
rules
won't offend
anymore.
people by doing bad accents. You know, I'm not pulling out a poo from Simpsons.
Don't fucking do that. I'm moving. So the
No,
sexy
hang on a
voice-
sec.
No,
Mick.
it's Adam Carroll.
Yes.
no, Mick, where's Kilmarnock?
Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock.
Aye, that
Kilmarnock.
is the.
Next to Dublin,
It's the east.
All right, Adam.
Yeah, but fast.
Dickhead.
London.
Where is it?
Where's
I think it's in
Kilmarnock?
the east side. I think.
Okay. See, I like that accent.
That's really specific.
Biffy Clyro are from there, and I like all the lads.
Whenever a
I think,
Scotsman sings
actually-
the word down, that's
Down.
the one for me. Down. Yeah, there
Does
it
it swing?
is. No.
I know there's a lot of people that are like.
Fucking hell, where's that come from? I don't think someone suddenly get an erection because a Scotsman says the word down.
Dune.
Sorry, Mick.
I know a lot of people are always like.
Yeah.
I got him going there. Look, he's gone red. Say it, Nick. Get him.
Well,
Just double check. Oh no, actually, Kilmarnock isn't the east. It is west. It's actually near Glasgow.
okay. I
But,
mean,
I've heard people say, "Oh, the Scottish accent's dead sexy," and I'm like, it's really not. Like
is that
anytime
not
I've heard
Americans?
myself, oh, probably what do they know?
Do Scottish people only say dead sexy?
not so much to edit.
It's
I can't do accents. He just insulted an entire
Oh.
nation.
Easy target in it though. At the moment.
It is,
So
yeah.
I have a question while we're on accents, right?
We're back to
Mick,
this.
Mick, no, it's just, go with this. Mick, if I said to you, is your name Mick? You would say,
Aye.
right, you'd say aye.
Aye.
I don't think I've ever heard a Scottish person say yes.
That's because we don't.
No.
It's like, no,
So
yes is that's the posh Edinburgh or Glasgow
Right.
West.
So that is
What's
okay.
you
I was
like-
just thinking, could we break history here by having a Scotsman say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, no, don't ever say it again,
Oh, I
please.
just need. Oh,
No,
Oh,
please,
I feel-
please
I
never
feel
ever
guilty.
say that again. Yeah, and
I
I
feel
know
like
that Thomas, who asked this, no, he didn't ask this question, but he asked questions, will be listening, disgusted. But he's teaching me about. It sounds like I'm taking the piss if I say Scottish culture, but he taught me about Empire biscuits. Now, does that mean anything to you?
Oh, I love
Yes,
it, Empire
okay,
biscuit.
That's all I needed to know. I'd never heard of them. Have any of the
It's-
non-Scottish lads here heard of an Edinburgh biscuit? Have you heard of an Empire biscuit?
Never.
My mate at work gets his mum to bring all this stuff down, like the square
From
sausages.
Scotland?
From Scotland. Like, you get
Bring
these
us a
square.
packet of bickies.
That's a good
No, I
one.
don't mean like she goes shopping and
Oh.
pops it in on the way home. I mean when she comes to visit him, she brings these things down, like a tablet, Scottish tablet, which is like it's just like sugar.
It's just solid sugar.
Yeah, and every time she comes down, she always brings me like a square of.
It's a large sugar cube.
You think you're a horse?
No, it's a flat. It's not actually a cube. It's just a
Feedback
square of. Yeah, it's just whatever works for Mr. Lube. But it's a square. It's a fucking square of fucking sugar.
Sugar.
That's
What do you do with
A
it?
cube.
Not a
Sugar
cube.
cube. A
It's
square.
not,
just put
it's,
the whole
it's
thing
not,
in
it's not a
square.
cube. It's not a cube of sugar. It's a square of sugar. Or, well, it's broken up. It's like, I don't know how they make it, but it's broken up. And it always comes down in like paper with like a couple of flat chunks of. And it looks like Lambeth bread from fucking Lord of the Rings.
Is it like
but it's just
Kendall
sugar.
Mint, is it like Kendall mint cake, that kind of stuff?
What the fuck is Kendall Mint cake? Now you
Okay.
do sound
That's
posh,
how
and you're
posh-
from where I'm from, and now you
Right.
sound posh to me.
Okay.
Is it like Eccles cake?
So hang on, before we get off this, right? So Empire biscuits, a big thumbs up, Mick.
Yes.
Now Thomas showed me something else, and what was it? You know, like you get a cherry bakewell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, what was it called?
You and these cherry bakewells.
Pineapple.
Pineapple cake.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And he's trying now to get me onto these. And now, where do you stand on pineapple cakes?
I hate pineapple.
Okay, so this is the same thing I'm having, and he tells me, no, you will like these. I'm like,
It's
So this is
it's
a bakewell, cherry bakewell, but with pineapple in. Is that what this is?
it's like it's
Because
like
that.
it's like a pastry cup, and it's got like a kind of thin layer of like a pineapple sauce in chunks.
Yeah.
Then it's absolutely filled with cream, and then there's this kind of yellow icing on top of it. So like, if the cherry bakewell's like that thick, pineapple cake will be about that thick, but it'll be mostly cream.
Sounds like it'd give you a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Aye, the kind of fat folds. Aye.
Yeah, six chins. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's also trying to get me onto haggis, and that's just a conversation.
Oh,
for
haggis
another
is
day.
lovely.
I'd rather
See,
eat soil.
everybody. Is that just the thing where if you're because my dad's Scottish, right, or was, God rest him, but he
All right, mate,
fucking
no need for the bring it back up.
no.
Sorry about
loved...
your dead dad, mate.
Yeah, I was the one who glossed over it. You're the one who's labouring the point.
Yeah,
That's brutal.
Anyway, like, so my dad, he's a Scotsman. He was from Edinburgh, so sorry about that, Mick, but he was from Edinburgh. And
Bring back Mr.
he really liked.
Yep.
Careful. He really liked haggis, right? And I've never asked any Scottish person, and I know quite a few Scottish people through work and stuff. I've never ever spoken to a Scottish man, woman, whatever, who doesn't like haggis. Like everyone I've spoken to, you say haggis, and they all have the same response that Mick had, which was, "It's lovely." Every time.
Oh, you have to.
Sure.
If you say no, you get deported to England.
I see. That's what I was wondering. See,
You don't
like
want that,
Iron
mate.
Brew.
God, you don't want
you can't not like Iron Brew. I think when you're north of the wall, and but I went to a pub in the village a few years back, and it was on the wall, and it had haggis, and it described on the specials board what it was, and it sounded gorgeous. So I bought one, and I really didn't like it. So like. Is it just like a cultural thing? Is it just because is it like, well, I mean, because we don't like English people in general don't have much of a cultural meal, fish and chips, like, it's not
a cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fucking bland, everything we eat. I mean, we misappropriated curry at one point, but English food is kind of a bit bland. And then like you go to Scotland, everyone seems to really like it. So maybe we're just doing it wrong.
It's probably because it usually comes with a whiskey sauce, so it could be that most people don't like it, but they're too pissed to notice.
I just
From the whiskey sauce.
Oh yeah. Let's get back to the little bit there that I was laughing there and unable to control it because I like the fact that how Mick Fraser there basically was like it was the kind of thing that racists say, like when he was like. Oh, and
I know a lot of...
some of my best friends are Scottish. So,
I know a few Scottish people.
Yeah, it was real close. This is I can't even remember what the question was. Moving on. What would you say is the secret of the pod's longevity? Do you think you would make it to? Did you ever think you would make it to episode 400 or thereabouts?
I've only joined recently. That's the secret to its longevity.
It's episode 1.
You'd have cashed it in a long time ago if I'd have been in it.
Well, honestly, never ever think about things like, I don't know why this, because I don't think we did anything with 300. I don't remember. But for 400, I don't know, it just was a big number. It was like, that's pretty cool, and it's 10 years. And longevity, I would put down to the fact that everyone on here and everyone who's ever been on here are we're all just friends. And like, if I look at the screen right now, there is not, apart from Mick Fraser and Chris, there's no one in any close proximity. I can't nip, at this moment. You can't nip round anyone's house anyway. So it's just an excuse to chat, and also it's an excuse to chat about games with your mates, like, and have a laugh. And so the longevity comes from that we enjoy each other's company, except for Mick when he's racist about Scottish people, obviously. I don't know. I mean, like, Ad, you were a listener before you were a podcaster for us, weren't you? I mean,
yeah. For me personally, it's just not to get all like, but like it's actually genuine. It's genuinely like the podcast for me is an amazing thing for my overall mental health, my overall mental situation of just being on with a group of mates to talk about games and all that kind of stuff. Like I'll be honest, it was like last week or so. It was a bit of a rumble of a week, and like everyone has these kind of things, and like for me, like just you think about like podcast end of the week, or you know, it could be anything, podcast, a video game, but these are little things that like I don't ever think of anything that I want to, like, this sounds bad, but like I hope you take it right. I'm not striving to achieve something from the podcast. I love to see it grow. I love to see all these things. I'm not in it to just like get games and all these kind of things. I'm just in it for sheer passion of talking about games with other people. And like that to me is like it's a very important fact for anyone. And like there's a lot of people who I hear want to start podcasts and stuff. And like I think if you want to just do it. Like we're all like I'm running off of a very straight up DIY setup, you know. But like here's my face, I can see it, and like I'm talking to you guys and stuff. And it's just it's really, really important to me, and like it's something I would never want to see go away. You know, like it's just one of those things. That to me is my secret of like my longevity within a podcast. Anyway, for whatever 2 years, 2.5 years I've been doing it.
No, it's been that long. I mean,
yeah.
It's as good a point as any to just say that obviously the reason you were brought on board is that in case anything happened to me after my heart attack, we have still got an Adam C. You can
you can sign checks.
the understudy.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, because I've not done it much. I did the podcast with you guys.
That was
a
the
couple
test
of
episode
times.
to video, really.
Yeah, well, I did that one with you, and I did a couple with you sort of many years ago now. So I'm sort of new, so I can't answer the longevity question, but just touching on what Adam said, if I fuck around a lot, as you can tell, you know, I like to have a laugh and that, but as you know, Adam, because I talk to you an awful lot, this last couple of weeks with everything that's been going on, and I've been back to work, I've been unfurloughed, a lot of the guys who I work with haven't, you know, and it's almost like a kind of survivor's guilt in that, you know, and like the last few weeks have been pretty tough. Like, and I you know, I'm not somebody that generally suffers from poor mental health. You know, I don't tend to be, you know, an anxious person. But the last couple of weeks, it's been quite hard going, as you know, because you know you and I have had many long conversations about this stuff, and we do talk about it, you know, in the editors group on Telegram stuff. But this podcast has been, I've been looking forward to this, to just getting on with some guy, because I mean at work I'm the boss now, you know, and I can't sit and chat about games and stuff to people. Like, I can't.
All right, lads. Monday morning.
I do. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. Monday morning meeting. What were you playing? But like, so I've lost that a little bit. So you know, I do. You know, I've got mates at work and stuff, but I haven't got like a little group of guys, of people that I can just sit and just shoot the shit with and talk to. And so this podcast, when Adam said, you know, we're going to do something special for the 400th episode, and he was trying to get extra people on board, and I really wanted to be involved because I've been listening to you guys. I didn't know about God is a Geek before I joined God is a Geek, because a long time ago now. I think I've been with the site for like 8 years or something. So I wasn't a listener before, but I've listened, and I know all of you guys really well, and I know a lot of the readers and the listeners. And I'm a fan. Like, I'm a fan of you guys. Like, I'm part of the site, I'm part of the group, but I'm not part of the podcast. But I'm a massive fan of the podcast and what you guys do. And to get into it, and to be able to come on at a time when it's been quite grim, you know, and I tend to be a positive person, but it's been hard to be positive recently, and I've been really looking forward to it. And I think that as an outsider, I think the reason that you guys do have kept going so long and have, you know, kept up a level of popularity with the readership and the listenership that you've got, is because it is such a laid-back podcast. It's I know a lot of podcasts go for that, but it doesn't feel like you guys are trying to shoot for the stars. It doesn't feel like you're trying to impress people with you. No, don't get me wrong. Like, I know what I mean, right?
I do.
It doesn't feel like you guys are coming on and going, let's tell the world today what I think of this game.
No, but this podcast would be the same right now if we were sat in the pub.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's my point. Yeah. I think it's the atmosphere. I mean, you guys might as well be here, you know, and we might as well be kicking. And I wish to God we were, and we could one day. But for me, on looking at it from the outside, but being sort of very much, part of the site and part of what we do, I think that the longevity is you guys are just it's such, you've got such great chemistry, and everybody that comes and goes, when Gary comes in and Chris comes in, and it's great to listen to, and it's great to be a part of. If that makes sense, or if I'm just
it does. Like I mean, no, 10 years of doing this now, I've gone from shit. I couldn't even tell you the microphone I used when I first did podcasting. I have gone, and Chris Hyde, you'll know how I obsess over these little things. Like when we started doing the video, the first thing in my head isn't, do I look all right? Because I don't care. Well, I mean, I care. You know what I mean? That's a horrible thing to say. But more like, will it still sound all right? Like, because I spent so long thinking that that's what makes a podcast good, because all the best podcasts have such great sound quality or whatever, and it took a long time to realise that it doesn't fucking matter, because if what they're saying is a load of old bollocks and you're not going to listen or be entertained. Of course, it is absolutely nice to have good sound quality. It's good to have a listenable audio file or video quality, but the important part is that you get on. You're not trying to force it, you're not trying to fake it. It is what it is, and I will carry on doing this until
Don't say what you're going to say.
No, I don't know. I mean, it feels weird that like next year I'll be 40 and I'll be a man doing a podcast about video games. Feels weird, but why would I stop? I'm chatting with my mates.
Exactly.
Who's the oldest one? That's me, isn't it? I was just about to ask a question about age. That's me.
I'm older than you. I think I'm older than you.
No, you are by a couple of weeks. Who's the youngest here? That's
Mick D, surely.
Right?
I'm 33.
Oh, is it Adam? How old are you, Adam?
I'm 31.
It's Adam, right? Okay.
Baby.
So we'll ask you this question then.
All right.
Because you are, especially since you're now just over 30. As I roll out of bed, this isn't me, by the way. I think this was from Thomas. As I roll out of bed during the night to empty my old
Lube,
bladder. No, it ain't Mr. Lube. I wonder if the team can think of any positives about getting older, please, he says. Positives?
Well, I gotta be honest.
Experience. Experience. Sorry, I cut in then, but no, carry on. I'll have a go.
Any positives about getting older? I did actually recently have to go to the bathroom. I woke up throughout the night, first time it's ever happened, and I went, I'm at this time in my life now. Interesting. Kind of annoying. But anyway, here we go. We back into bed. One eye doing it, that kind of business. It's just like...
Christ, Mick. I don't want to tell him, but just wait until you start pissing the bed, mate. That's...
Yeah, just cut out the middleman and stick a waterproof sheet.
I feel it's like it's. I think this is very much suited to like Mick, Chris, and Adam. Really,
I mean, I've got one.
For the old fuckers.
Yeah, the old people.
You go, Chris. You go.
I've got one just because it kind of happened today. So the obvious answer for me is obviously having a family. That's a big thing for me. I've got a little girl, 2.5. We're actually
an adorable little girl, by the way. I saw her today when we were testing setups.
We were just testing stuff, and she came in and she'd made a necklace. Adam dared me to wear it. I should have done actually. A little necklace with beads and a lace, and just wanted to put it on my head. And I was just like, it's like those moments, like you don't get that when obviously you're younger. You think the world's amazing when you're 18, but actually those are the moments that you'll remember. And for me, I'll take any bladder problems at 2 a.m. for moments like that. So yeah, that was a nice one today that just stuck with me.
I would agree with that. In like when the world gets you like for me, not much gets me down. Like what gets me down is how I've never got any fucking money, right? But when it really really beats me down, I realise I'm so lucky. Like my wife and kids, I wouldn't trade it for all the money in the world. Like you're saying, Chris, those little moments that to just completely change up gear from that lovely. The thing that I think it's happened in the last, and Mick, because you and I are very close in age. Mick Fraser, sorry, there's two of you. I'm looking at both of you as well, so it's not helping. But Mick Fraser, thing I don't know if you've had this or if it's just my age thing. I have started to give a lot less of a fuck about what people think of me.
That's definitely one of the best things.
Okay, and now I'm like, do you know what? It doesn't matter because my wife loves me, my kids respect me, the people I care about, like yourselves, I get on with, and you don't ever seem to feel like I've got major character flaws. But like, that's a very recent thing that I started to come into. It's like, someone's like really moaning about something, and I'll be sat there going, yeah, sure, I'll just be a wall if you want for you to talk at, because there's nothing going in here at all right now. Because
I think there's a glorious level of comfort I found when I've got older. Same thing as you, like you become more relaxed around the people that you care about so much that you don't care about how you come across to them, because you know you're going to come across okay. And that's just glorious. I guess it's a bit like this, like, you're kind of so relaxed about this. It's like you're not worrying about anything like that. I just think that does come when you get older, because you spend your 20s, you spend your 20s just like worrying what everyone thinks. Like, am I saying the right thing? Am I liking the right thing?
Oh Christ!
Can I handle my beer? That kind of stuff, and it just doesn't matter.
I think Ads and I mentioned this to you, Ads. There was a period where, like, in fact, like Pine Grove is a prime example. There, when you hear a song or something, or you listen to an album, like, I really like that band, and then you go to Twitter and you're like, hang on, I just want to go in the old Google. It's okay to like them. Okay, do you know what I mean? And that sort of thing. Now I'm a little bit less. It's not in my head as much, because you can't, especially with music, like you can't help liking a song.
I tell you what, when you talk about things like that, you remember when you were younger and you didn't want to admit that you liked certain films, or like you didn't want to admit that you liked
the Spice Girls,
or like certain singers, or like
not me. I never liked the Spice Girls.
I'll listen to the Spice Girls.
I bought the movie Spice World on DVD.
Same.
I'm holding my hands up.
You see what I'm saying, though? When I was sort of 17 or 18, I would never have admitted that. Somebody would have said that, I'd have never admitted to liking.
I definitely didn't have a poster.
I would have. I had some pictures of Jerry Halliwell.
My favourite too.
But I wouldn't.
Funnily enough.
But you wouldn't have admitted to those things, And then as you get, you're recalling those. But as you get older, that stuff, and it's kind of stuff peeling away, and eventually you reach a point where, like, I don't give a shit. Like,
I like what I like.
You like it because and I think it's because the more that you grow up and get to know yourself. I mean, and I love being older than some people, right? And that sounds weird, but I do, because
lording it over them. Well,
I do, because and I don't lord it over them in so many words, but like, take today's, like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who like to think that they just know everything. They like to think that they've seen it all, they've done it all, they've been there, they've got the T-shirts. I've got the fucking T-shirts. They're hanging in the wardrobe where they've been for 20 years. And it's like, I like looking at people who are like 20 going, this is what I'm going to do, and thinking, just fucking wait, mate. Like when people, when you see like the young couples and stuff, and I don't probably get upset people again, but you see young couples and they're like trying for a baby, and you think, and they're so excited, so looking forward to it, and I've got 4, and I'm sitting there thinking, come and see me in about a year's time.
The one that always gets me in that is when they say they're tired and you just go,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're tired now. You don't know tired yet. Yeah. And I think that stuff, getting older.
But for the record, if you're 18 to 19 and want to back us on patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, you're most welcome.
We love you.
I don't do the podcast very often.
We'll never be allowed back if that's what you demand.
Just actually, before we move on, there was a wee point about you're saying, like, as you get older, you don't care.
Yeah.
Or you care less.
You care less. I should say, yeah.
My granny's like that. And every time she opens her mouth, I think, this is amazing. I can't wait to be like that. Because we were at my brother's wedding.
Yeah.
And my brother and his wife is like, oh, come on, Gran, let's go get a picture. And the response is, fuck the what I did that for. Because she hates getting a picture taken. And she says shit like that all the time.
But that can be risky when you're a certain age as well. There's another element to, like, older people not caring about what they say.
Yeah, not caring what they say. I mean, you'll be honest. Kind of a hateful.
I'm with you.
Fuck the what I did that for. And then, like, she's at the pub. Well, she was at the pub like every night. And I can see the pub from my window. I'm like,
I really like the sound of where you live. You've got a
great view
right opposite you.
I've got Chinese across the road.
Everybody knows everybody. Knows all. It's like Cheers at mixed place.
There's tons of
That's
stuff.
age if you know Cheers. I don't know. It's not really 18, 19.
Mick was like, I've no idea what you're talking about there.
I know Cheers. Well, I know Cheers from the Frasier.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, there was no need for that. I've got to move on. Then 2 more questions, and then we can get out of here. The sun is. Bear with me, okay. This is from Steve on our Discord. The sun is approximately 400 times the size of the moon, but is also approximately 400 times further away, creating the temporary illusion in which the sun and the moon in Earth's sky appear as if of similar size. This is how we get a solar eclipse. So, very loosely related, what game do you send out into the universe to best represent humanity to any other life forms out there? A bit like the Voyager Golden Records. Looking forward to another 400 episodes. Steady on, Steve. And beyond. Thanks as always. Mick D, what game do you send out to the universe to represent the whole of
represents humanity?
The Last of Us Part 2. So fucking stay away.
Yeah.
Do not fucking cross us.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Because I would just go to like, what are my favourite games? And I'm like, well, BioShock. And you're like, no, that's actually quite bleak. Final Fantasy VIII, also with people killing each other, people try to take over the world. I don't know, probably something.
Super Mario Galaxy.
I was actually going to go a Mario game.
Yeah, I'm going Mario.
Something nice and colourful.
My default was Mario, and then maybe something like Minecraft or something would be quite an interesting thing to show other people.
I mean, I'm just going to say Astroneer.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. if we so we can mention it, Astroneer, Minecraft 2.0.
Segue done. Brother.
Yes.
Easy. Ad, did you have one, or are you just going with my Astroneer?
Astroneer.
It's all I think about. I actually, not for nothing, but I caught myself looking, when did that game hit 1.0? Because it needs to be Game of the Year. It was last year, I think, so it can't be Game of the Year, but... Last question for the week, and we'll go to you. No, we'll go to you, Ad. If you were put in charge of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, what would you do to improve the console business of each company? Merging all 3 to create a mega sex robot is not an option.
That was mine.
Jesus, what would I do? I don't want them to merge all together. If I'm brutally honest, I never want
he's saying
that.
If you're put in charge of all of them, how do you improve them? I guess
that's a really hard question to answer. If I'm brutally honest, how to improve them?
Maybe we come back to this question next week. That is a tricky question to end on, I think.
Yeah,
I'd get Nintendo to sort their online out.
Well, see, you got the
obvious
online
one.
Would you genuinely do that? Am I the only one who really doesn't care about the online functionality of the Switch?
I think just make it slightly more accessible. It doesn't have to.
I've got it. Put Astroneer on the Switch.
There we go.
Oh my god.
That would sort everyone's
how would that
ever.
run though?
I actually just realised how good that would be, and it never struck a chord in my mind.
It won't run well, mate. It wouldn't run well.
It would take about 3 years to load up.
The loading in the game, yeah.
Yeah, but once it's up, you never need to stop playing it. It's a handheld.
Oh my god! Of course, this needs to happen.
There you go.
Astroneer needs to come on the Switch. No, if I'm brutally honest though, I'm going to have to say, to echo what Chris was saying about the Switch in general, the online, I do think all 3 consoles, if we're talking as it stands, Xbox One, PS4, and the Switch, all 3 of them to navigate in the interface, whatever the UI stuff, it's all bad. It's all bad. It's bad. It's complicated. It's convoluted. I don't understand why they can't just make it smooth, slick, simple, and even down to the Switch one isn't as bad as them, but it's more. It's simpler thing to run in a sense. But what is bad in the Switch is you got something like current offers. You go in there, you see deals. You have to scroll down all those games, and they still just are loading. Every so often, as you go down, that's just not good. It's not good. So that's really the biggest thing I want. I'm only on the Xbox One recently now, and that to navigate every time I boot it up, I'm where am I going to do what I need to do now? Where's the store? Where's this? You know? And I know for anyone that has an Xbox One, they're oh come on, it's just second nature. But you got to realize as a new person, and I'm playing games for years and years and years, like all of us. It's not a good sign when you go on as a gamer and you're confused of what you're selecting and stuff. That's really the biggest thing I would like to sort out.
I'd like crossplay everywhere. I think I know there's obviously barriers in that, but I really like crossplay. Like I think there's crossplay now in Destiny 2 has it, and I think Fortnite has it. And I love that. I mean, I know you get the argument that PC players are running at 60 FPS and stuff, they have an advantage, but I like that it brings everybody together like that. And because, especially in now, because we've just had the PS5 reveal and we've got, salty fanboys on both sides of this ridiculous fucking divide. And crossplay sort of it can erase that a little bit, If more games embrace that crossplay and sort of try to knock down the them versus us wall, I think that'd be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I love crossplay.
What about fixing the drift on the Switch controls?
I haven't suffered that yet, thankfully.
I've started to just on my main Switch. Yeah.
I just go, but on Animal Crossing, it just became a nightmare if I played in handheld. I just had to play docked all the time.
It's lucky you can't wander off those cliffs, isn't it?
I'd be dead. Yeah.
Well, that's it for this week. That's it for episode 400. Unfortunately, we are now taking a break for a whole year. So, not really. Patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. If you do like this podcast, you would get it early. Not as early this week because it's a lot to edit and a lot to put together. But generally speaking, we give it 3, 4, maybe 5 days ahead, actually. You're almost a week ahead sometimes. We do early videos, exclusive videos, we do giveaways, we do codes on there, we do a swag bag where stuff we get sent by publishers we give to you. We think there's good value for money, there's different tiers, have a look on there. We do a food podcast called Fork Off twice a month that we really enjoy doing as well. So thank you for all your support for 400 episodes. Some of you have joined us in the last 10 probably, some of you have been around for a long time. Doesn't matter, you're all welcome. Gaming is great. Gaming is love. That's as cliche as I'm going to get. We can share the love with you on the podcast. We can share the love with each other. Maybe not with Mr. Lube. He's a bit... Anyway, thank you to Chris.
Mr. Lube wouldn't associate with you guys.
He wouldn't. Thanks to Chris, to Mick, and to Adam, for being here for this episode. Guys, 400 not out, as the cricket score people would say. We'll see you in the next episode, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.